Alright guys, welcome in. I know the stream is a bit delayed. Still waiting on Chiseled to let me know what's up, but I said since I had it planned anyway, and for the past 2 weeks on Thursdays we've been doing the Predict the NFL series, why not do that in the meantime? I'm assuming he might call me later on or might text me later on tonight to let me know what's going on. Maybe his meeting is still going on. Who knows? And I'm pulling up, I got to pull it up on the laptop to make sure the screen is working well here. But for now, we shall just move on with predicting the NFL until he does get in here. Let me just pull up the stream on my laptop real quick. In the meantime, I'll let you guys flow on in. And of course I get an ad. So I can't even see. Alright, bet. So it looks like it's on there. What is up? I had Delano in the chat like way earlier. Let me bring this bit down just a little bit. Right? I think that should be good enough. Nice. What's up, Edward? How you doing? He says, bro, tell us who the Steelers fan and comedian. I did. I put in my community notes. It is Chiseled, Adonis. It says it in the title also. I'm still kind of waiting on him to pull up. His meeting is taking a bit longer than usual. He did say he'll let me know when and if he could do tonight. Worst case scenario, we'll have to reschedule. But we do this every Thursday anyway, which is predict the NFL. So it's not like I didn't have a backup plan if this went a little left field. So that's the backup as of right now. So we can just continue to predict the NFL. Last time we left off, the Giants somehow ended up being 8-3, with the third seed in the NFC East. Absolutely crazy. The first seed being the Saints, who are yet undefeated. So very crazy things going on over here in the Predict the NFL series, guys. And let me just tweet this out real quick. So if I go over here, you could already see I might have to change this. People might call it catfishing. We shall see about that. You know what I'm saying? People might say, hey man, that's a catfish. Alright. Okay. So we'll just continue on with Predict the NFL until I can get a confirmation or not. And let me get rid of this ad right here. And can I get rid of this one? I don't think so. But the last time we left off, let me just quickly go over the division leaders, the seedings and everything like that. So let me shift this camera over here. Might be a weird shift actually. Hopefully you guys could still see me well. So over in the AFC side of things, we got the Ravens with the first seed at 10-0, the Browns at 7-4, Steelers 6-5, Bengals 2-9. Then in the South, we got the Titans at 7-4, Colts at 6-5, Texans at 5-6, Jaguars at 1-10. Then in the AFC East, we got Bills at 7-3, Patriots at 4-7, Dolphins at 3-8, Jets at 2-8. The West, Chiefs at 10-1, Broncos 6-5, Chargers 5-6, Raiders 1-10. And obviously, as you can see the seedings here, at least I hope you can see the seedings. The Ravens are the first seed. The second seed is the Chiefs. Third being the Bills. Fourth is Titans. Fifth, Browns. Sixth, Broncos. And the seventh seed is the Colts. Then over on the NFC side of things, we got the Packers at 8-3, Vikings 7-4, Lions 2-9, Bears 2-9. Going down into the South, Saints 11-0, Buccaneers 7-5, Falcons 4-7, Panthers 1-11. Then in the East, somehow, hey man, remember it is the subscriber in the chats voting these who wins each week. The Giants somehow 8-3, Cowboys 7-4, Eagles 6-5, Redskins 2-9. Then 49ers 10-1, Seahawks 10-1, Cardinals 6-5, Rams 3-8. And if we were to go over the seedings, the first seed is the Saints. The second place are the 49ers. Third seed, the Giants. Still know how. Fourth seed, Packers. 5th seed Seahawks, 6th seed Vikings, and the 7th seed being the Cowboys. For those of you just tuning in, as of right now, Chiseled has not let me know whether or not he's out the meeting yet. Like I said, worst case scenario, we'll just continue with this, and I'll reschedule. It was a meeting that came up, he said. So, well, that's the worst case scenario, but this is usually what we do on Thursdays anyway. So let us move on to week 13 in this season right here, man, and let's see how it goes. Just give me a second real quick. Let me do this a little better. AJ Marshall in chat, what's up, bro? He says, don't sleep on the Texans. Why don't I have them in my playoffs? I do, because I'm not the one that, or at least the way the series has worked, this is the 3rd episode, I'm not the one that had selected all the wins. For the most part, I leave it up to the people in the chat to do it. It's like kind of like basically you guys are doing it, or letting me know who you think is going to win, and then it goes by vote, and then I select that team. So let me just get this right here. And looks like just got a text from Chisel. He says he's going to head over right now. So it looks like this interview is still going to happen. We'll see. We shall see how it goes. Hopefully he can pull up soon and we'll get everybody in here. Jawad, what's up, man? How you guys doing? Currently waiting on the guests. Should not be too much longer. But in the meantime, like I said, I'll just continue on with selecting this right here. So, Bengals at Dolphins, that might be a toss-up game. I might lead towards the Dolphins. Dolphins currently have a better record in this fictional season. Raiders at Jets, I would go Raiders over the Jets. Colts at Texans, I would probably go Texans. Browns at Titans, I would go Titans as of right now. Patriots at Chargers, I'd go Patriots. Broncos at Chiefs, I'd go Chiefs. So, for the way I'd have it playing out, would be that way. But what do you guys think? What does the chat think about this right here? Jawad is saying Tua is going to be better than Burrow. Book it. That's definitely an interesting take to have. Tua being the 3rd overall pick, bro, the 1st overall pick. Of course, I think it all depends on whether or not Tua can actually stay healthy. That's the most important thing right here. If Tua can stay healthy, then for sure he has a good chance of being better than or as good as Burrow. Once again, let me actually ask him. And Chiseled Adonis is ready. So it looks like we're already going to start switching over. So then let me get this call up. Actually, and we should get started, it seems like. We can get this interview rolling. And let me hit the camera.
Okay.
What's up, bro?
All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Now I actually just have to capture you. Chat, let me know if you can hear this, man. I have a very good introduction prepared for him. Actually, let me just get this window capture up here. You ever used OBS before?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, OBS be whack sometimes.
Yeah. It has its trial and tribulations. It has its up and downs.
That's definitely a fact right there. And I can hide this one, and then I can just, you see, I don't know if you see that or if you can see the stream, but it has you in a little small box for no apparent reason.
Yeah. I'm in that box. I'm there. What do they call it in hockey? Penalty box? I'm somewhere like that.
Man, they're trying to hold you down, bro. That's all I can say.
Well, then it turns out the OBS is, partnering with Nancy on my YouTube channel.
Oh my God, Nancy. For those of y'all that don't know who Nancy is, well, first of all, I'm going to assume a good amount of you in the chat know who this man is. He is the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. Welcome in, bro. Thank you for taking time out of your day to do this, man. It means a lot. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing just well. And you did a very good job with the introduction, man. Not a lot of people actually get it right.
I did have that little stumble.
Yeah, there was a little stumble that was there. Usually you got to say it through with fluidity and deliver it home. So
let's hear that example.
poke your chest down. You got to say the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical, individual, the chiseled, Adonis. See, you got to. It's like a one long run-on sentence, like a Tribe Called Quest. You got to say the whole thing.
A Tribe Called Quest. I'm done with you, man. Well, once again, man, welcome in. For those of you that don't know, I tried to link most of his stuff down in the description. I got the YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all that in there. But he is also on the Fan to Fan Network, which you guys have heard of before, because a lot of people on my channel, they know Kid Blue RB27, who's actually in the chat. What's up, Kid Blue? He says, my guy Chiseled, LOL, he was just in the meeting with you. All right, so I'm guessing that's where you came from. You want to talk a little bit about that, maybe promote that a little bit?
Oh yeah, so pretty much what we're doing on Fan to Fan is we're gonna try to take over sports media, because too often you see on ESPN or NFL Network, it's a lot of those white collar guys, and they don't really cover anything outside of the biggest trending news that's going on. So you don't hear anything about the Jacksonville Jaguars because they absolutely suck. So now on the Fan to Fan Network, you're gonna have a Jacksonville guy. You don't hear too much about, well, now you hear the Cleveland Browns, but you don't hear too much about Cincinnati like that. So now you're gonna get an opportunity to hear from those kind of creators. And moreover, instead of seeing so much PC sort of way that people deliver something, if somebody sucks, we're going to say it, and you're going to hear it directly from us. So you're going to hear it directly from fans who are actually content creators as well, who have their own independent followings, who can bring forth the truth that each individual fan base truly feels about the product.
Exactly. Jawad is out here saying it's like undisputed. All they talk about is them boys, Brady and LeBron. Oh my God, I'm so tired. Not only undisputed, but any like kind of name brand show out there, they cover three things: LeBron, Cowboys, and Brady. Literally what Jawad says, and that's it. They don't cover anything else. And I can't completely hate on them, right? Because part of me thinks it's a lot of work to do what they do, but then the bigger part of me is like, it cannot be that hard to try and cover more than one team. So I think your camera might have just went out, Chiseled.
Yeah, it just went out. I'm about to put it back on. I don't know what just happened. I may have just clicked on the button too fast. Oh, there you go. I should be back now. I think I'm back in the small circle. I'm back in the penalty box.
You are back in the penalty box, exactly. So I was saying they talk way too much about one thing, Gotta have it. That's why they have us, man. That's why they got people like you and me out here, fans of the actual thing. So, Chisel, tell me a little bit about yourself. For those of them who might not know you, you are not only technically or actually a comedian. That is your career, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
now you're also here on YouTube. So let's hear a little bit about that.
All right, so I'm a bit of a I have my foot in a lot of different crabs. Not only do I do content creating on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Pornhub, Twitter, I'm also
you guys heard that correctly. He did not mistake.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. I'm a porn star who doesn't do porn. At least not yet. But regarding, I also do stand-up comedy as well. So it's all around comedian. I'm not just a YouTuber, a content creator who happens to do comedy. I'm a stand-up comedian who happens to do, social media and YouTube as well. So I got my start in YouTube around 2016. I think a month after I started in stand-up, and then I figured the commentary series is really what took me to the higher level. So I just looked at what was happening on YouTube, what was happening on social media regarding sports commentary, and I said, man, there should be somebody who's covering full games, and I figured, why not I be that guy? So I started doing just commentary on any and everything, and then it became a series and continued to post. I have well over 1,000 videos in the 4.5 years that I've been on YouTube and social media, and here we are now at 169,000 followers on YouTube, 52,000 on Instagram, I think 50 or 80,000 on Facebook. I can't recall because this is my second Facebook channel. They took it down. And 800 followers on Pornhub, 12.5 on Twitter. I'm just doing some numbers here and there.
Jesus, man, that's a lot. And you know what? I will say one thing. He's technically on the hub, both the hub that he's on right now and the next one.
Yeah.
But how
I'm
exactly?
on 2 hubs.
Exactly. How exactly did you shift into that football commentary thing? Going from, I know you did the I think it was the MTA videos was before
Yes.
your football commentary was the ones that really got you noticed. How did you shift into that? What even gave you that idea?
So I remember I was scrolling down social media, and I did a few videos here and there. I believe my very first sports video, and I may be wrong here because unfortunately, since my Facebook page, the original one was taken down, I don't have the videos to reference. But I remember John Wall crossed up, was it? I think it was Isaiah Whitehead from the Brooklyn Nets, and that was early 2017. And that was the very first sports video I ever did. It ended up getting 131K views on Facebook. So I said that gave me an idea of making sports commentary. Then the NBA Finals in 2017, the first year I believe Durant showed up to the Warriors, I covered 5 of the NBA Finals games. I got 26,000 views as an average for the first 3 games, and then I got blocked. And then I thought, okay,
Was it
I
Disney
can do
that blocked you?
something here. No, I don't think it was Disney that time. I think it was just the NBA. It was something that, but no, it was my crackhead video. I did a commentary on crackheads, and I got 2 million views in 3 days, and then that ended up getting me blocked for a month. So it ruined the traction and momentum I was getting with the NBA Finals. Then my very first sports commentary, at least on football, it was the Ryan. I cannot remember what his name, Logan Ryan, I think it was, the punter for the Seattle Seahawks. He had a fake punt and he ran while they played against the at the time I think it was the St. Louis Rams. On a Thursday night football game that got 350,000 views on Facebook. And I said, man, you know what? I'm going to start doing sports commentary. And then I did 3 isolated games. And then after that, I started doing the weekly games throughout the entire season. And it took off from there.
That's pretty cool, especially considering you overcame the bump that a lot of people come. Yeah, when it comes to talking sports in general, I'm guessing the reason they you said it was the crackhead video, but I can assure you it's probably part of it is because you were using clips also. It's just, and with YouTube and the D word that I can't say in fear of getting that, very weird circumstances here. What's up to AV Sports? No problem that you're late, bro. I always tell my viewers, they say sorry I'm late, don't mention it. Just tuning in and showing you support is what matters. Guys, as you're tuning in, not only should you go into the description and sub up Chiseled, he might be a Steelers fan, but he literally covers any sports and turns it into entertainment that you can laugh at. What's up to Kevin Cronin? He says he got his Eagles mask on, but the only problem is that it's cloth and you won't be able to breathe at church on Sunday afternoon. That's
That's brutal.
That's I don't know. That's technically a little political topic. I'm not sure if I want to get into just because it's so divisive. Nikki, what's up? But guys, please wear your mask. That's just my opinion on it. I'm trying to get this thing over with as soon as possible. And you know what? Speaking of which, Chiseled actually had a very good point that he made in one of his videos earlier last month. He said, if we don't get the new statistics of COVID-19, there's some demands that will have to be met. And one of them concerned one of my favorite celebrities out there, Rihanna. And I must say, I agree with this man.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have to see those nudes. If people aren't dying from this coronavirus out there, and evidently the numbers have not spiked upwards, I demand Rihanna's nudes and another stimulus check as well. I could definitely use that.
Anybody can use it, man. Jawad Aherston, I love the Steelers commentary. I'm guessing he did see some of your videos. That locker room was a mess with AB, Ben, and Lev Bell. What do you think about that as a Steelers fan? From your point of view, was it a mess?
Absolutely, because it was very childish. Because if you look at, and he said something regarding Eli being better than Ben. I'm not too sure what genjutsu he may be caught in.
Listen, yo, we could get into that, bro. Yeah, I'm wearing his jersey.
Oh, I burned his jersey, so we can have a great conversation about that. But regarding the locker room of the 2017 Steelers, it was extremely childish. The way that I view it is a lot of the things that was put into the public honestly could be held or taken care of at the facility or at each other's personal homes. It doesn't make sense that Big Ben, or I should say that Antonio Brown talked about how Big Ben never invited him to his house. That's fair, but that's your criticism of him, and you can just reach out to him personally and say, hey, I've invited you to my house. You haven't invited me to yours. What's the deal here? You can't also be in public saying that's your best friend. We have the best of relationships, but behind closed doors, it's not that. Why did you lie up front? In Le'Veon's case, you held out, all off season the year prior and showed up in September. If you weren't planning to show up at all, that's between you and the organization. But between you and the actual players, your offensive line, the people who you actually communicate every single day because they're your friends, it doesn't make sense that you don't converse with them as well. A whole lot of these things was just sheer communication that wasn't dealt with immediately. And it goes to show that no matter how old you are, some people are still stuck in high school.
Exactly. And you know what? Speaking of AB, that whole situation, Lev Bell, he did get out of there, but ultimately did not get what he wanted. I'm pretty sure he got way less money than he wanted to get when he held out. And he kind of started the trend now that's going on of holding out to get your money, which, and I'm kind of split on that too, you know, your thoughts. I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm on the player's side, especially somebody like Lev Bell who they're going to run into the ground. Like, his body is going to be demolished by the time his career comes to an end. But then it's also like, I don't know if holding out is the way to go and what you're putting your team through, you know?
He in Le'Veon's case, I think his goal was the guaranteed money because although the total contract Pittsburgh was offering him 70 million. However, it was only about I think 10 to 17 that was guaranteed. The Jets, I can't recall the entire contract, but it was 35 million that was guaranteed. So for him, I guess it was security that he was looking for. But the downside is you go to a team that's not winning as much.
Trash.
Yeah, because ultimately, I expect them to improve this year. But given the situation with Jamal Adams, I don't know what's going to happen. But I expect in Le'Veon's case, or I should say instead of Le'Veon, because he did it the right way, he ended up getting the money in a sense. But somebody like a Melvin Gordon completely backfired. Where you hold out, you come back to the game, and then the person who was your backup actually produced way more than you on the entire season, and now you signed for way less in Denver.
See, the thing is with Gordon, right, is I think everybody knew his was going to fail because he was never a top 5 back. Like,
exactly.
Bell at the time that Le'Veon did it, he was the best running back in the league. You know, the only person at the time I think that could argue with him really was Zeke because Saquon didn't really do his thing yet. It was Todd Gurley.
Yeah, Zeke or Todd Gurley.
Exactly. So it's like when Gordon held out, I was like, is this dude even top 10 at his position? Well, what is he doing?
Yeah, he's top 10, but then he's on the brink. He's about like an 8, 9, or 10, and because those numbers always fluctuate. But in Gordon's case, his problem was, for one, his health has always been brought into question. Even though it's not as if he didn't play, I think he had about 2 or 3 seasons where he did not play the entire season, but he was productive, but in the big moments he came up short. So everybody knew he was not going to get that money. I'm not sure what his agent was telling him in his ears.
He needs to
I don't know.
fire his yo.
Because that's just ridiculous that you would hold out in Los Angeles of all places for the Chargers. They're never going to pay you your money. I don't know why you would do that. Just play your season, go to the end, go somewhere else for big money.
Bro, his agent was light Yagami, bro. No cap.
Yeah.
Kevin Cronin saying, my point is I cannot breathe. All right, then Kevin, in that case, man, I hope you get something else. Then get a different mask, maybe one of the blue ones. The hospitals be giving out for free. It's tough out there for everybody, man. I'm like, Chiseled is out here in NYC with me. I'm sure that he can also relate to like it's things are slowly returning. But it would not have taken this long if people have. And look, he just showed the mask.
Yeah, there's a mask right there. If I could put it virtually through the camera, I would.
Exactly. It was like. It would not be taking this long specifically in a populated area like NYC if people just wear your mask and just wear hand sanitizer, all that. How is it in because you're in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
How is it over there? Over in Queens, I'm in Queens. It's not that bad, but in the beginning, like everybody was shut down.
Yeah, everything was shut down here in Brooklyn. I live right by Kings Plaza. So they shut down the whole mall. A lot of places are closed, but now things are opening up. But, as New Yorkers, as you know, we just have naturally that stay away from me sort of mentality.
Yeah.
So I guess for some apparent reason, we were ground zero when the corona first started. Now, for some apparent reason, we haven't seen no substantial spikes in the cases. I guess the fact that we stay away from each other is really helping, but businesses were closed for the most part. They're just now opening back up because we're going into phase 3.
Yeah, whatever that is, man. Sound like the MCU out here. And shout out to Kid Blue with a $2 super chat. Thank you, my man. He says, gotta show some support for this great stream. Thank you. And once again, to everybody in the chat, go down into the description. Check Chiseled out. For my first recommendation for his videos, go check out his latest Chiseled Adonis Awards video 2019. A bit on the longer side, but there's a reason for that. Just pure entertainment. In fact, I'm going to ask you kind of an off-topic question. How in the world did you come up with the nickname, the Lolly Lole Low? The people that just signed Cam Newton, where did that even come from?
Oh, Metal Gear Solid. I believe it was Metal Gear Solid 2. Sons of Liberty was the name? I believe it was Sons of Liberty was the name. And at one point in the game, while Snake is, or is it Raiden? One of the two, I remember it was Campbell, who was on the other side, talking about the Lolly Lule Low. And the big part of Metal Gear was called the Patriots. So once I connected the two together, so it's one of those, if you know, you know. A lot
Yeah.
of my content is a
It's
huge
just a huge
amount of
reference.
inside joke
Yeah.
reference. So it's one of, I remember I went to with my co-host for the Hold My Nuggets podcast, Marv Glover, when he had his 21st birthday stand-up show, and I was there. There was a comedian named Sherrod Small who came in and headlined, and he said something that stuck with me for the last 2 years, where he said jokes only work if you know stuff. So if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. I can't tell
Exactly.
you how many people have DM'd me asking, "What's a genjutsu?" If you
You're
don't know,
lying.
you don't
You're
know.
lying. I thought, I really thought that a good amount of your audience will be, in tune with the anime stuff just because I never see it in the comments, right? The comments, everybody's just joking, everybody's just laughing. And it's like, what is your favorite reference that you personally make in those vids?
Wow. My favorite reference, maybe it would have to be between Butterfingers and what happened to his hands. I think those two would
Yo,
probably be at the top.
what happens to his hands? Can we get an example?
Okay, perfect. You could get a look at anytime Nelson Aguilar is on the football field, and when the football's coming towards his hand, you already know Orochimaru's coming out. He just lost against the third Hokage, and he's looking at his hands, and he's asking himself, "What happened to my hands?" Because he cannot catch the football. Anybody who goes out there and drops the football, and it's not only indicative to offensive players. If you're on defense and you drop a clear interception that could have been a pick six, you're gonna get it too.
Bro, I have to say I'm disappointed that you forgot Nelson's middle name. It's Nelson Occasional Hands Aguilar. I think it should be shifted to Nelson No Hands Aguilar because is he not off the Eagles at this point?
Yeah, he's off the Eagles. I believe he's now in. I was about to say Oakland, in Las Vegas.
Exactly.
So people are going to be betting on him catching the football, and now they're going to be losing even more money.
Trash and sad. What's up, Bronx B Squad? How you doing? Jawad is saying he bets that Bell is missing the Steelers O-line. He's missing a lot about the Steelers, not just the O-line, bro, but winning. I'm telling you that.
Yeah. He's going to be out of New York as well. I do not foresee him staying with the Jets another 2 years.
He's going after this year.
Yeah, his last. Yeah.
There's no way they keep him after this year. And the Jets in general, I guess as a Giants fan, with the whole New York rivalry thing, I put out a video yesterday. I was like, the Jets are literally a lesser version of the Giants. And let me know what you think about this. They got a lesser version of quarterback in Sam Darnold. I think Daniel Jones is better at this point. I don't know if you ever watched Sam Darnold's footwork. He always throws off the back of his foot and never steps into his throws. And he's always jittery in the pocket. At least there's one thing I can say. Daniel Jones has his fumbling problems, but the footwork is there. Absolutely. They got a lesser O-line than us, which is something I never thought I'd say. But the Jets' offensive line is trash. Pure trash. At this point in their careers, they got a lesser version of Saquon Barkley. Le'Veon Bell is not what he used to be when he was with the Steelers. I think Barkley is better at this point. And I got to the defensive side, and something that surprised myself was they got a lesser version of our dude Dexter Lawrence, the defensive tackle, and Quinnen Williams, who was the 3rd overall pick. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you disagree with there?
I would say with the Jets defense, they're on their way. The acquisition of C.J. Mosley was huge, for them last year. But the problem now is regarding Jamal Adams. If they're not going to trade him away because I don't think anybody's going to give up 2 first-round picks, at least at this stage. They'll probably let him be miserable for another year, and then they'll make their moves next offseason. But regarding Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold, I can't give Daniel Jones the nod yet. When we talk about mechanics, I can go and look at Daniel Jones and say, you know what? That kid's got it. He's just got a little Jameis Winston in him. He turns the football over, doesn't know how to hold on to it. Well, then again, he was trained by Eli Manning, so it makes sense.
He was trained by David Cutcliffe, bro.
But well, that too. But with Sam Darnold, although he throws off the back foot and he really needs help with those mechanics, and believe me, he really does, he has a knack to have a little bit of Brett Favre in him, where there's the downside of Brett Favre, but then the upside as well. If Sam Darnold can get the right quarterback coach who can really hone those skills, I think he could be a top 5 quarterback in the league. Not right now, but probably by about year 5, year 6. He's one of those guys where, like, you look at somebody in basketball who's a volume shooter, but in this case for Sam Darnold, it's going to take some years. I don't know what it is about that guy, but it's something that if you give him time and you put the right weapons around him and you get him an offensive line, as you talked about, the offensive line being terrible, you give him some protections, you'll see the decision-making start to change. So that's the only thing for me. You were completely accurate with everything else. Quentin Williams, he's still young, so I'll give him some more time. The Jets defense, I expect them to improve, but if Jamal Adams leaves, you could just throw away the next 5 years because you better go find another franchise player on defense. The Giants
Exactly.
defense substantially improved this offseason. So I'm curious to see how they go out there and play.
Really, what are your thoughts on it? Because it's the thing about the Giants fandom is so weird. They always split. There's literally half of them that hated the moves with the defense and half of them that didn't. From an outsider's perspective, why do you think it was improved?
Well, for one, last year you had a little bit of injury that played a role with what was going on. A lot of other guys were out of place. The secondary was very, underachieving. So now, and if I'm not mistaken, did they change their defensive coordinator?
We changed basically the entire coaching staff.
Yeah. So everything being changed is being wiped. Clean, so it's going to start anew. So, and on the offensive side, I expect improve the offensive line. I expect a whole lot of a healthy Saquon Barkley, and I think that will complement each other. Defensively, I don't know if they're going to change their scheme. I'm not sure if they should.
The thing that they're saying right now is that they want it to be fluid. So they're like, if 1 week we need to run 4-3, we're going to run 4-3. If 1 week we need to run 3-4, we're going to do it.
Okay. As long as those guys are disciplined, they can go out there and look like the 2015 defense before they became, $200 million defense that was undervalued. They didn't really go out there and do their job.
Oh my God, bro! That whole year, I'm beginning to think was a fluke. But the defense that year was amazing. And what's up to Bronx B Squad? We got a question about the Steelers from AJ Marshall. He says, "What are your expectations for this Steelers season, and what did you think about their draft?"
All right, regarding the draft, I liked certain picks because Chase Claypool, that was a sensational pick. I think that guy is going to have a tremendous upside with Deontay Johnson and also Juju being there too. And do not be surprised if they end up letting Juju walk. I would not be surprised.
Would they put Claypool at tight end? Because I've seen a lot of murmurings about that, or keep him at wide receiver.
Oh, no. He's going to be most likely on the outside. Juju's going to move to the slot. They just brought in Eric Ebron, and Vance McDonald is there as well. So I don't see Claypool moving to tight end. He's going to be a huge target on the outside, mostly at a deep threat, but he has very, very good routes. But for Pittsburgh, as long as they're healthy, they really are a playoff team. Now, the only conversation is, are they going to win the division or not? Last year, being 500 without Big Ben is a miracle.
That defense carried the Steelers last year.
Absolutely. And Pittsburgh hasn't had a defense where you had to look at them on the depth chart since 2012. Although they had a sensational front seven for the last, let's say, probably the last decade. Their front seven has always been good, but that's at least against the pass. Against the run, we couldn't stop the run at all. Now, the defense is put together well. The secondary, for the first time in 8 years, you don't have to look at anywhere and wonder. Joe Hayden had a very good season. Steven Nelson actually had a top 5 season at cornerback, where a lot of people, if you look at the numbers at the PRR or PFF, I can't recall, but
PFF?
one of the two,
is it PFF?
yeah, one of the two, I'm not sure, but he is in the top 10 there. Minka was making plays every single game. You can argue Minka was our best offensive weapon. And our only weakness is at the strong safety position, but I would rather have 3 strong pieces and 1 weakness, similar to what you saw years ago with the Seattle Seahawks in the Legion of Boom, where Brandon Browner was the weak link. So Pittsburgh's defense is looking sensational. Offensively, with Ben back, if everybody stays healthy, there should be no reason why they shouldn't win at least 11 games. So I foresee Pittsburgh's floor being at 10 or
What if
11.
Ben gets injured? What if Ben gets injured?
If Ben gets injured, then we might have to shut down the season.
Because I don't know, like, asking the defense to do what they did last year again in the worst case scenario that Ben gets injured is a lot to do. And then you throw in the fact that NFL is a parody of itself every year. God knows how that might go, the whole random factor of all that. But that's the question I had for you. How much faith do you have in Ben staying healthy? Because the dude, he is at this point in his career injury prone, and he is older.
Yeah, he's 38 years old, because he had back before this injury, he played every single game with the exception of the 2017 season, because he sat out the last game because they already had home field advantage clinched. But being this old and having Tommy John surgery at that. That's a serious operation. So he has to command that offensive line, almost Peyton Manning and Tommy Brady like, where in the pre-snap reads, you got to make sure if you got to identify who's the free blitzer, who's coming untouched, where's the scheme going to be. He's got to be on his P's and Q's because if he gets hurt, it's over. I have zero faith in Mason Rudolph, zero faith in Duck Hodges. They brought in J.T.
That's one
Barrett.
thing I can't agree with. The backups for the Steelers, they need. I'm surprised. You know who I am very surprised they didn't go out and got Jameis or Cam. I thought
agree.
for sure one of them would have ended up in Pittsburgh. It would have been the perfect situation for either of them to succeed Ben in the future.
Absolutely. My only thing with Cam is I don't think Cam would have been willing to show up and be a backup. But Jameis, although I joke about him all day, I've been a Jameis fan for years.
Mm-hmm.
My only problem is his lapse in judgment, and he finally got a coach who can help him with that in Bruce Arians. But unfortunately, Bruce was like, "Hey, we're a quarterback away from making the playoffs. Well, you got to go. Let's go and get a 40 or 168-year-old Tom Brady to come and lead our team."
Civil War veteran Tom. I better see
absolutely.
those jokes next year because I haven't seen you clowning Brady's age that much, bro.
No, I haven't. Because he's gone out there and played good football, so it's been kind of hard to make fun of his game.
All right.
Quite honest. I would have, because Vinatieri, I've always made fun of him, but I've respected his game. Brady's been to Super Bowls left and right, so regardless of the fact that me making fun of him, he's always going to end up proving me wrong. But with the Steelers' backup situation, they definitely need to get somebody who is a solid backup. Because years before, when they won the Super Bowls, Charlie Batch was there. I believe Byron Leftwich was there on the second run. So you got to have a solid backup just in case the starter goes down. Mason's not it. Duck's not it. J.T. Barrett, I loved his game in Ohio State. We never got to see him, on the main stage in the pros. So maybe he can become that number two.
Mm-hmm.
But for the successor of Ben, I think Pittsburgh might end up falling into, I guess, mediocrity for maybe 2 years, just miss the playoffs or something of that case. But Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season, so who knows?
That's the thing about the AFC North. Barring the Browns, you can't really count out any of the other three teams when it comes to the playoffs. It's just a culture. It's within their bloodstream just to make the playoffs or be contending for a spot each year. I'll tell you that. AJ Marshall, I already talked to him. Bronx B Squad says, "Yo, Chiseled, what you got for week 1 against the Giants?" It's kind of funny. That is the week 1, the opener, and it's a Monday night prime time against the Giants. What do you got here? I won't be surprised if you pick your team.
Well, absolutely. I have Pittsburgh winning that game because defensively, I think if they can go out there and rattle Daniel Jones, it's going to be over. Because as we both know, Jones will turn the football over, and Pittsburgh their defense can score points. If it was the offense having to take advantage of the turnover, I would be concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But the defense can turn that turnover into points without having to switch possession. So I'm very confident in the game against the Giants. My only concern is the offensive side of the ball for Pittsburgh. Are they going to underrate the Giants' defense? I don't want to go out there and see Ben go out there and throw 50 passes for what? There's no reason for that. Run the football down the Giants' throat and try to win that way. I have Pittsburgh winning by about a 10-point margin. I think the first half is going to be very, very close, but then the second is going to be indicative on preparation and what you saw from whose players are better. But on the roster, Pittsburgh has a better team on
without
paper.
doubt. Before I give what I'm about to say,
paper.
on paper, and let's say everything goes as it should on paper, Pittsburgh should win by a reasonable margin. And the thing is I was about to say, the weird thing with Pittsburgh the past couple of years, really the past decade, is they always play down to competition. I don't know why. Games that they should be winning or should be blowing teams out, it becomes very close games, and I won't be surprised. I'm not saying specifically for this Giants game, but games that they should win, don't be surprised if, they go out there and then bam, all of a sudden something happens and Pittsburgh loses. I know you can speak to that. I'm sure you probably got a couple rants on that. As for my thoughts on the Giants-Steelers game week 1, realistically speaking, I do expect Pittsburgh to win, but I think it might be closer than a 10-point margin. Daniel Jones, at least since it's basically my job on YouTube to cover what this dude does in the offseason, he put on like 10 pounds of muscle, went back to Duke to work with Cutcliffe again. Oh, you didn't hear about that? He put on 10 pounds of muscle to help with the fumbling and also help in case he gets hit and injured and whatnot. So and then he went back to Cutcliffe and Duke to work on, I don't even know this was a thing, throwing trajectories and arm angles. I don't know what that means, but that's what he went back to improve upon. And then down in Texas, he contacted the University of Texas to organize workouts there because they couldn't do anything up here in Jersey, up here in the New York, New Jersey area. So I was like, he's working a lot in the offseason to improve his game, so I expect the fumbles to be reduced slightly. But the Pittsburgh defense and their defensive line, as much as the Giants' O-line is improved, specifically we talking like T.J. Watt and them boys, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a major problem that I don't know if the Giants' offensive line can fight back against. The only hope the Giants have, in my opinion, to stay in that game is if Saquon runs for like 200 plus or something like that, or just the running back group in general. And shout out to Joseph Clark, my bad, bro. The super chat, $2 super chat. He says, big respect for Steelers, who are a great organization.
Yeah, you make a very good point regarding Saquon. He's definitely the X factor, for sure. Because if he goes out there and not only on the ground but also through the air, if he can get 7 receptions, similar to what we saw 4 years ago when Pittsburgh played against Dallas, Zeke ran for over 150 yards, but also had an 83-yard touchdown on a screen pass. If Saquon can get going in the passing game as well, we've got ourselves a football game here. And regarding Daniel Jones, working out, that's great. Putting on the muscle is great. And the throwing trajectory, that is essential. Because when I played football in college, I used to work with a lot of the quarterbacks in the offseason. They would have to work on angles and, throwing the velocity of this certain pass.
Yeah.
Throwing the fade is not easy. A lot of people think, just go deep, I just throw the ball. There's a lot of angles of having to get the back shoulder, getting it in front of the receiver, throwing it at the right area. Timing plays a huge role. A lot of things go into it. So I'm ecstatic that Daniel Jones is working on it. But his number one thing has to be awareness to his backside. Because if that left tackle does not give him enough time, Bud Dupree is coming off that area. T.J. Watt moves around a lot of times. Cameron Hayward's over there, who's been playing sensational football as well. And Stephon Tuitt's going to be back. Pittsburgh likes to run a whole lot of stunts.
And I'll tell you what, that's one thing the Giants' offensive line has historically struggled with for like the past 10 years. For some reason, anytime any team runs any type of stunts with them on the defensive line, they go clueless and they don't know what to do.
And it's always the guards. Because
exactly.
the guards look around like, what the hell's happening? So when they do the switch, because Pittsburgh is notorious for the switch up front. They have the middle linebackers go through opposite B gaps, and the D tackles, the D tackles, they switch.
Mm-hmm.
So because everything switches, the offensive linemen always look around. It's almost as if they look at themselves while the play is still going on. Almost always leads to a sack. So they've got to be extremely disciplined up front. The amount of film session that's going to have to be dedicated to Pittsburgh, and luckily for them, it's week 1.
Exactly.
So you've got a ton of time. To hell with the preseason. Nobody's really going to be taking the preseason seriously. They're just trying to figure out
they cut it down to 2
condition.
games, but part of me is like, just get rid of it altogether. I mean, the only thing the preseason is good for is deciding depth of the team. Maybe you're like, all right, bro, we got a couple dudes on this sheet right here. Let's see how they perform.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because right now, especially for this year, it's most likely going to be indicative on our guys in shape.
Mm-hmm.
Because were you disciplined during the quarantine? Were you disciplined during the offseason? Because everybody was home, and given you're a professional athlete, you should have access to a gym.
The thing is, I will say to that is, I actually made an argument against this. I was like, you got to think about like the guys that are like on the bottom of the roster, dudes that are really not making or not living in situations better than me and you when it comes to where they live and stuff like that. Like they don't have access to these gyms. They're living in like apartments and stuff like that. So I'm like, for majority of the team, it's really like probably the top 15 paid dudes on the team that would have their own personal gym or access to it. But the rest of them, they're probably just making do with whatever they got around the house.
Yeah, that's where I think those guys have to make sure that they are disciplined. But even that, there should be like a group chat amongst the players, or you reach out to whoever has access to a gym, or you reach out to different sort of people because you have influence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure if you're a Pittsburgh player who just got drafted in like the 7th round, if you reach out to anybody in Pittsburgh who happens to have a private gym, or maybe you put out a tweet, hey, I need to work out, I don't have access anywhere, people will offer you, access to their stuff. So these guys just got to be on their P's and Q's, because it's just the same way I feel about the NBA season. I expect this bubble that they have going on to be the best brand of basketball, best brand of sports, because you're at a position where you have to go above and beyond to make sure you're in shape.
Is it still down in Orlando?
Yes, it's going to be in Orlando, and now I just heard today they're I think it's Chicago. They were able to for the teams that aren't invited over there, they're going to have their own bubble in Chicago. So maybe we'll see the
The
Golden State
the
Murdered
Knicks
Warriors play.
the Knicks weren't invited, were they?
Oh no, no, I don't
Yeah,
think they were.
damn, bro. I
And
mean,
if they were, that's a shame.
it's sad to be a Knicks fan. What team? You're a Heat fan, right?
Yes, Miami Heat. Yup, since
Miami Heats,
2000.
bro. So yeah, guys, don't. By the way, he's not a bandwagon when it comes to Steelers and the Heats. If you could really quickly share how you became fans of each of those teams, because he is an NYC folk.
Yeah, basically it started in the year 2000. So with I'll start with Pittsburgh. I remember I was going to church. I was 6 years old, and I got home around two something, and I turned on the television. It was the Jets playing against the Steelers in the year 2000. I believe the Jets were undefeated at that time at 3-0. And first play I ever saw, Jerome Bettis ran into the end zone. I said, "Man, I've never seen somebody that big run like that." Caught my attention. I played on my N64. I still have the game. I'm looking at it right now. NFL quarterback 2001, and I used to always play with the Packers because Brett Favre was on the cover, and I would lose against the Steelers every single time. So I said, if you can't beat them, join them. Started playing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, went undefeated, won a championship. I said, hey man, this is my team, and I've been a fan for 20 years. In the case of the Heat, it's the exact same thing. I was playing NBA Jam. My father loved Michael Jordan, and when Jordan was gone, he loved Shaq and Kobe. So I was a Lakers guy. And this was the same year that they had just won the championship. They were fresh off the championship. My favorite player at the time was Shaq and Allen Iverson. But every time I played with the Lakers, I, for some apparent reason, could not beat Tim Hardaway and Alonzo Mourning in NBA Jam. Said if I can't beat them, join them. Started playing with the NBA, with the Miami Heat. Kept getting the flaming basketball. I said, man, this is my team, and I was a fan ever since.
Yeah, yo, it really goes to show though. Video games do be having an influence on how you basically how you go about your life. For those of you that are not in support of video games, I don't know why you wouldn't be. Jawad out here saying, do you watch Urinating Tree? I know Urinating Tree is another Steelers creator slash. He makes similar type of commentary, funny vids.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, we did a couple of podcasts together on with 5 Point Vids on the what did they call the dumpster fire. Yeah, I did a couple of stuff over there. As for collaboration, I have not done any with him, but I'm sure if I were to reach out to him and say, hey man, you want to do a collab, we definitely could. But I don't know how I would, do one there. I'd probably just rant and send it to him, and then he works it into his video, and then
Just works it into it.
Yeah.
And now listen, we got to get into this because I can't let it slide. You are here clowning my guy Eli, saying you burned his jersey. First and foremost, how did you burn his jersey, and for why? And then we're gonna get into this little this heresy that you're saying here that Ben is better than Eli.
Okay, all right. I'll tell you how I got into it. First and foremost, my brother is probably the most unorthodox football fan that exists. Well, at least he was a fan. Now he's just pretty much a bandwagon. He is a Patriots fan first, and then a Giants fan second.
I've never heard of that in my life.
Exactly how I feel. It's extremely antithetical. Doesn't really make any sense at all. And imagine the Super Bowls where he was like, oh, man, either way, I win. Although I'm a Patriots fan first. But doesn't really make any sense.
Okay.
But, yeah, he had a Kurt Warner jersey. And I remember I went to my friend's house to watch Super Bowl 46, and I just so happened to have the jersey with me. So every time that the Patriots scored, the few times that they scored, that is, I would stomp on the Kurt Warner jersey. And I actually love Kurt Warner too. So I kind of felt bad for doing it, but it was the Giants jersey. Who cares about Kurt Warner Giants?
Yeah,
so then,
nobody cared about Kurt Warner.
Yeah,
Giants,
nobody
man.
even remembers.
Yeah.
They remember Jared Lorenzen before they remember Kurt Warner. Rest in peace to him too.
Mm-hmm.
But I was stomping on like the Kurt Warner jersey here and there, and then I remember I ended up burning it at what year was this? I think it was 2014, because I was so fed up regarding how people viewed the Giants. Because being a New Yorker, the Giants dominate the Jets. The only Jets fans who are extremely passionate and get in your face are the firemen and people who are over 80 years old who remember seeing Joe Namath in their youth. Nobody else who is a millennial, in their 30s, in their 40s, are Jets fans passionately. This doesn't happen. And if they are, they're in some sort of genjutsu. Somebody needs to go and release them. So I just got sick of the Giants because through the years of 2004 to 2011, they would start out seasons 5-2, 6-2, and completely collapse in the month of November. And somehow in December they either just make the playoffs
Or just
or
miss
they
it.
end up missing out. And everybody midway through the season, man, the Giants are going to the Super Bowl. Remember when Peyton Manning was in Indianapolis? We're gonna have a Manning versus Manning Super Bowl. Everybody just rides so high on the Giants. I'm like, dude, there's a second half of the season. This happened last year. Don't fall for the Genjutsu. And every single year I just kept hearing it and hearing it and hearing it in my youth, and I simply could not get out of it. So I hated the Giants ever since.
Well, okay, reasonable for somebody that, is not a Giants fan and lives basically in the mecca of where you're gonna be of all Giants fan. Reasonable. I don't approve of it. I can never approve of burning a Giants jersey, but reasonable. But here's where I'm gonna have to tell you, man. Big Ben, before we get into the stat, I don't even have any stats pulled up right now, but let's just think about this for a second. Ben Roethlisberger has been gifted with a way better team for every single year he's been in Pittsburgh than Eli ever was. All right? Yeah, I don't know if
Every single year?
tell me one year he had a worse team than Eli did.
I can't say every single year.
I need you to tell me the Steelers in Ben's tenure there, bro. They were always one of the best. Okay, top 12 to maybe like the most range I can go to is top 15, but top 12 Steelers were always that in terms of roster in Ben's tenure there. The Giants, I could count on my hands the number of times they were ranked, top 12,
Yeah, that's
maybe
fair.
like 3 or
That's fair.
4. So in terms of that, Ben has always had a better team and supporting cast around him than Eli in their careers. Yet Eli, in my opinion, has accomplished more with 2 Super Bowls. Ben has 2, but that first one, I don't know, man. I don't know if that first one you can give to him. He had
No,
like one of the
he
worst
was on
quarterback
the team.
performances.
The worst
Yeah.
by a winning quarterback. He had the worst performance. I think his QB rating was like 23. It was terrible. But regarding Big Ben, in the second half of his run with Pittsburgh, I would say 2012 after they got Tebowed, 2012 up until now, it's been primarily Ben that has ran that team and made it good,
Mhm.
regardless of the talents like Antonio Brown and Mike Wallace early in that year, the Martavis Bryants of the world, the Juju Smith-Schusters, the Le'Veon Bell, the offensive line. Ben really turned it on in the second half because the first half, by all means, I'll give it to you.
Mhm.
Eli did not have the better team. That 2017, I give majority of the credit to that Giants defense in winning that game. I give all the respect to Eli for that 2011 run. That's all him.
That's
The 2007
I
run,
always
primarily
say,
the defense.
and maybe this is mad bias on my part, but I always do say 2011 he had an MVP caliber season and he should have been heavily considered for it.
Well, but the only problem with the 2011 one, the reason why he wasn't going to get heavily considered was, one, Aaron Rodgers' TD to INT ratio was ridiculous in that 15-1, Packers team. And then after that, Drew Brees I think he led the league in touchdowns.
He did,
with
yeah.
46, like 5,000 yards. That was the second time that he had done it. So it was kind of hard to see.
But we talking
Eli.
most valuable player though, right? You take
Yeah,
Eli off that
but
team, they not going anywhere.
Yeah, but football, it's
That's
just
true.
like basketball.
That's
Most
true.
valuable player usually goes to who got the best record. That's why now with the NFL honors being at the end of the season,
Mhm.
there's no way you're not telling me playoffs don't play a role into it. In 2016, when they had first started it, there was no way that you're telling me the NFC Championship, whoever won, didn't determine who was going to win the MVP. If the Packers beat the Falcons,
It was gonna be
Rodgers
Rodgers.
was the
Yeah.
MVP. But ultimately the Falcons won. You had to give it to Matt Ryan. So with Eli, he had some decent years. My only thing with Eli is if you look at the total amount of years he played 16, 15.
16.
Yeah, 16. Out of his 16 years, you can argue he was a top 5 quarterback maybe once.
Okay.
And out of those years, he was probably consistently as a top 7 quarterback maybe 3 times. In Ben's case, over the course of the last, from 2018 back to about 2013, Big Ben was in the top 7 every single year and top 5 about 4 of those years.
Mhm.
The first half of Ben's career, he had some big plays, big games, but on a week in, week out basis, it was more the defense that got the credit. Once the defense depleted, you saw how great Ben was. In Eli's case, he didn't really have too much help here and there, but the interceptions and turnovers did him no favors.
I will say,
It did
man,
him-
listen, It
Right.
helps when Ben has one of the best offensive lines in the league. And then it's like the exact opposite side of the spectrum for Eli. Basically, since 2011, including
Hmm.
that Super Bowl year, the Giants' offensive line was always a bottom 10 in the league. And our general manager did us no favors, in my opinion, by going out there and drafting dudes like Eric Flowers. And I personally think that Eric Flowers single handedly took like 3 years off of Eli's career, man.
The 3 years, he took 3 years off his life. He talk about
Facts.
5 years off his career. I was gonna do a commentary on the lowlights of Eric Flowers, but then he got
I
signed
need you to
again.
make it, bro. Yo, tell me
Yeah,
how. What genjutsu did he run to get that like 30 million dollar deal by the Dolphins?
dude, he's got to be getting on his knees for his agent because I don't understand how the hell that happened. It made no sense. When I saw on the ticker Eric Flowers got signed, I believe it's Washington that he's at right now.
No,
How the
he's
hell?
with the Dolphins now. He
Which
was with the Washington before.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I don't understand how he continues to get signed. It makes no sense. But regarding the sacks and the lack of protection, that's a testament to Ben because the first 3 years, or I should say the 3 years that he went to the Super Bowl, he was getting hit left and right. The first 7 years of his career, he was sacked the most in the NFL. In
Hmm.
fact, I believe in 2008 when they won the Super Bowl, he was the most sacked quarterback. If not number one, then he was number two. And right now, Ben is, I think, number five or number three on the all-time sacked list. So he has an opportunity this year, unfortunately, I hope it doesn't happen,
Hmm.
to take over as the most sacked quarterback in NFL history. So he was getting hit left and right. Luckily for him, he was able to make some plays here and there, and he had a great defense his first half of his career that can really bail him out. In the second half, it was primarily him having to bail out, the team.
I will say that, and I will agree with you on the consistency argument that you brought up. I will agree with that. But if we're gonna say he was inconsistent, he is still better in my opinion because he put up very similar stats career wise to Ben. Within passing yards, I think they're still to this day within 2,000, 1 to 2,000 yards of each other. Even though Ben has, I think, he's obviously played longer now. He's still a starter and whatnot. The touchdowns, they're still within a reasonable margin of each other and all that. So when the stats come down at the end of the day, he's still right there with him, even though he was not consistently, performing at the level that Ben was.
Yeah, true. They are right there together. But remember, Eli was an Iron Man. He didn't
That
miss
is
any
true.
games. Ben
Man,
missed a
I don't
ton
know
of games.
how. Because you know for
Yeah,
a fact he was
bizarre.
hurt. There is no
Oh
such
yeah.
thing as a player not being hurt in football. That's a myth. Players are always hurt. He just played through it. And I had massive respect for like he's my favorite player of all time. But if I'm speaking generally objectively as a football fan, massive respect to him because he was playing hurt.
Yeah, and it's funny. Peyton Manning's my favorite player of all time. And I actually my a buddy of mine ended up getting me his jersey, his Colts jersey. That was
Hmm.
pretty cool. But their family, I don't know what it is. Maybe because Archie was getting killed every single game. And now Peyton and Eli was like, that's not gonna happen to me. But they were able to go out there year in and year out. So it's a testament to their durability.
Yeah.
But Ben was, although Eli was able to stay healthy and continue to play games, in the games where Ben was getting rocked and getting up, like those games against the Baltimore Ravens were bloodbaths. It did not make sense. I think Terrell Suggs popped his nose or dislocated it. His
Jesus
nose
Christ.
looked like it was sideways one time, and Ben still played. But
I'm
as we
gonna
were talking
just go
about,
out on a limb and say that's
yeah,
probably one of your favorite games when he's getting rocked and he's
oh yeah,
getting back up and still throwing the ball.
oh yeah. Back in the day, whenever I'd watch, I wouldn't feel comfortable watching a Ravens Steelers game if Ben didn't get like laid out. I'd feel like, oh man, this game is terrible because I'm not cheering for my quarterback to get knocked out.
Hmm.
But if he gets hit, I know it's gonna bring the best out of him. But unfortunately, the rivalry's not where it was before. But regarding Big Ben, he missed about now up until this point. It's a total of I think 20. It's probably like 26, 27 games. So he missed a substantial amount of time. Now, if both him and Eli played every single game for their career, the numbers would be completely different. Although, Ben had better targets in an Antonio Brown, a Hines Ward,
Historically, the
who's going
Steelers
to
have
be a
always
Hall of
had,
Famer
yeah.
soon. Yeah, they've had good wide receivers, but then you look at the front office, the Giants front office, they're a hit and miss. They're almost a decade kind of team. You do good in the 80s, it caps off in early 90s, and then you completely fall off. Early 2000s, you had a situation that was great. You went into the 2000, the entire decade of 2000 was great for the Giants. The 2010s, not so much. this upcoming decade, they have a possibility to go back up. So the
Hmm.
GM is hit and miss. For Pittsburgh, their ownership has always been able to at least keep their team relevant. So that's more a testament of the front office. But it's a great conversation. I still roll with Ben,
Hmm.
but
I mean, I'd expect
Eli,
you to.
yeah, I roll with Ben. I even make the argument, although it's very tough for Philip Rivers because he is an
Listen, I think
under.
we
Yeah,
can
it's a
both
very
agree that Rivers.
underachiever, but
I think we can agree, and I'd be surprised actually if you put Rivers above Manning, but I think we could agree Rivers is number three out of the three out of that class.
yeah, I used to have Rivers above Eli, but I cannot ignore the lack of playoff success. Although the front office has done Rivers no favors, he in the last 2 years have done everything in his power to make sure everybody knows he's third honcho in that class.
Hmm.
Like it's ridiculous. Last year he cost the Chargers about 5 games. They had 8 games. They lost by less than 7 points. That makes no. And majority of those games, he was throwing picks. You can't win games like that.
And they were
So
going into the year as a Super Bowl favorite.
yeah, exactly. Because the year before, they shit the bed against against the Chargers.
Hmm.
Oh, I said the Chargers. They are the Chargers against the Patriots.
Okay, yeah,
They
yeah.
they definitely wet the bed that game, but they had an opportunity last year and they just continued to come up short. Although Derwin James missed a better portion of the season, still Philip Rivers had to play better football. Now he's in Indianapolis. We'll see how things play out.
Exactly. The Earl 14. Is that like Earl Thomas isn't 14, but the Earl that just reminds me of Earl Thomas. He says the best Giants team during Eli's career. I'm guessing this was back when we were talking about who had better teams. Was 2008 when Plaxico shot himself in the leg. They were definitely better
Oh
that
yeah,
year. That was the best year I can think of. They were stacked that year. What were they? 12-4, and it
yeah,
really just shows
absolutely.
Plaxico went out and the team could not do anything.
Yeah, I was very disappointed on how that year ended out. And that's one of the things about the Giants that always bothered me. They only won playoff games when they won the Super Bowl. Like if you look at Eli's, playoff record, although it looks nice, he's 8-4.
I will say though,
He was
that
one and done the other
2016 game,
time.
bro, against the Packers, that's all on the receivers had
Oh,
Butterfingers.
oh
If you were
God,
to
it.
do commentary back then,
Yeah, I actually did one after the game because I remember talking about Odell Beckham. Victor Cruz had on the Soldier Boy
exactly, yeah.
outfit, and then those guys go on a yacht. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is a playoff game, and that's why I have issues with a lot of these players in the league who are somewhat leaders. Because there's no way, under any circumstances, going into a playoff game would Ray Lewis, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, any of them would tolerate their teammates talking about, hey, I'm going down to Florida to get on a yacht.
Hmm.
There was no, they're in conversation every single day. That's what you need real leaders. And Ben's not even that. Ben's not even that. So you need to have teams who have leaders of men on those teams. That Giants team in 2016, well, 2015, they should have went.
It
No,
was 26. It was
yeah,
2016, yeah.
Yeah, so they should have went way further because they could have won that game.
That's true. Yeah, I actually thought if they won that game, they were gonna beat the Falcons. I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl, but
Yeah.
I think we were a better team than the Falcons that year. Like the only reason the Falcons won in NFC Championship was because Rodgers was doing everything by himself up until that point,
Yep.
and Mans was getting burnt out. I thought we could have beat the Falcons. I still think that we probably would have fell to whoever made it to the NFC Championship. But if we won that game, we would have. I think we would have went pretty deep though. But that's just at this point riding on false hopes and if ands or buts. And I guess Jawad out here saying Eli's versus the 49ers NFC Championship game 2011. Most punishment I've seen ever taken by a QB. That defense was amazing. And the reason I brought up, I know you like it when Ben gets rocked back in the day, with the old Ravens, is because the NFC Championship game against the 49ers is my personal favorite game. He looked like he died 5 times on the field and was still doing the
Oh
thing.
yeah. Oh yeah. And the craziest thing about that game was whenever I think about the 2011 run, that was the one thing where I said, man, there is nothing but luck in the world because Kyle Williams fumbling those two punts.
Yeah.
I could not. I remember sitting at home watching the game. Just, are you kidding? They had to put out his face had to be on everywhere in San Francisco. Wanted posters everywhere because
He was
there's
hiding,
no
bro.
way in heaven that you can go out there and fumble like that. Because the way that the Giants beat Atlanta, Atlanta not running
I
Michael
think
Turner
what
on
they
fourth
Atlanta
downs,
scored like
ridiculous.
3 points or something.
Yeah, it was like 2 points, I think. They only had like a safety or something like that. But they had about four different fourth down situations. I think 2 times it was 4th and 1. Michael Turner was top 5 in the league in yards that year. His quads are about 85% Saquon Barkley's quads. But at the
Yo, did
time,
you
he had the
see? By the
largest
way, off
quads.
topic, did you see Saquon actually his hamstring and quads got bigger, and his hands
Oh, yeah,
somehow he
yeah.
got bigger. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. He got
Somebody's
bigger.
doing the Mario facelift with his lower body. It doesn't make sense. I don't know how he puts on jeans. This doesn't
He
happen.
doesn't wear
How,
jeans, bro. It's got to be tailored. It's got to be
yeah,
tailored.
yeah, and his tailor he has to have a tailor the tailor's work
Exactly,
because his calves are even larger. His knees don't even look real.
bro.
It
I
doesn't
think
make
I think
sense.
my entire quad is the size of one of his calf. Like for real.
Probably. He's a created character. It's not right. I feel like there was a 7-year-old kid who created Saquon Barkley, and they kept, increasing the size of the leg and just forgot
Who's
about the upper body.
in,
He's
in,
a reverse lunk.
in terms of physical body? Who's more of a created character though, DK Metcalf or Saquon?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. I would probably have to say DK Metcalf because it's a total product
Hmm.
in DK's case. Because his thighs are still gigantic. He's got like the Randy Orton sized thighs, but Saquon's lower body just doesn't make any sense.
He literally has
It,
three tree trunks, bro.
yeah, man. I'm sure. I'm sure ladies have tapped out in punishment from what was happening. You thought the cripple crossface was bad. Wait until you get into the bedroom with Saquon
Oh
Barkley.
my god,
But
bro.
But yeah, that 2011 with Michael Turner not running the ball to Atlanta, but they won that game. I'll give that to them. The game against Green Bay, it was almost indicative of what you saw in 2016. Green Bay dropped a ton of passes.
Hmm.
Aaron Rodgers was laying out great passes. They kept dropping passes left and right, but the Giants came away with the victory. Then you saw like we talked about in the NFC Championship with Kyle Williams, blowing that game. And in the Super Bowl, I give all kudos to Eli. He earned that one because he went out there and balled. I think his completion percentage was like 75. He played a hell of a game
Hmm.
against the Patriots.
And
So
you
that
talk about
2011 run was great.
everybody talks about the helmet catch. The more impressive thing to me was the Manningham throw in the
Yeah,
bucket.
yeah.
And
The throw was something. If you asked him to do that throw 100 times, he'll probably only get you that one time in the Super Bowl because it was a hell of a pass. I damn near got erect watching that. I was like, God, yeah, that's a hell of a pass. At the time, I was going into college that year. So that was a hell of a pass. I'm like, man, I'm getting ready to play receiver. Quarterback's throwing like this, I'm going to the NFL. That's not what happened.
okay, you know what? You making me want to ask this. I was gonna move on, but I gotta ask now. Then, who you think is better clutch then, Ben or Eli, in when the situation comes most?
Boy, now if we're looking at playoff wise,
Playoff wise, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Eli he's had bigger clutch moments. Because you have the Super Bowls, you can't deny those. Outside of those two Super Bowls, he really hasn't up. I believe against Dallas, he gave him an go-ahead score in 2007, if I'm not mistaken.
Basically minus the last like 2-3 years of his career, he just owned Dallas whenever.
Yeah, he owned Dallas whenever. But if we're talking playoffs, I guess because Eli has had the Super Bowl moments, I would have to give him the playoff clutch over Ben. But Ben has had some great clutch moments, like the comeback against Baltimore in 2010, the game-winning drive in the Super Bowl against the Cardinals. I guess the only knock against Ben is he only had a clutch moment in the Super Bowl once.
Hmm.
Eli had it twice. So
That's
yeah,
San
I'd
Antonio
probably
Holmes
give it
pass.
to Eli.
But,
Yeah, that was a hell of a pass.
but by the way, it's like that that whole 43 Super Bowl 43 it was, right? Honestly, for me, it's my close second favorite Super Bowl right after 42. Like, in terms of being a football fan in that time period, bro, two classic Super Bowls, one after the other, it's amazing.
It was back to back, and honestly, it was a top 5 Super Bowl all time because it had it all. It was one of those games where you never felt as if it was out of reach. I think probably the best Super Bowl over the course of this past decade was maybe the Patriots and Seahawks.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a game. Outside of that,
We low key had some boring
yeah.
Super Bowls this
Yeah,
decade.
we've had some boring ones. Like my only thing with Super Bowl 53 with the Patriots and the Patriots and the Rams was I enjoyed the defense, but my only problem was you can see Sean McVay got outcoached completely because offensively he ran his offense like he was playing Madden and it was just to ask Madden and he would just run the play. It made no sense. There were so many holes in the Patriots defense out there, and for some apparent reason, Jared Goff never saw anything. Todd Gurley only ran the football like 6 times or something
I
like
mean,
that.
it's like you said, bro.
They-
Golf is a liability, low key.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He's Ryan Gosling out there. Only problem, he's not playing cornerback, he's playing quarterback.
Exactly. I think Joseph Clark asked this question. He says, over the past 20 years, you don't have to go that far back. Let's say maybe 10, 15. Who's had the better front office, the Steelers or the Ravens?
Over the past 20 years, well,
Yeah.
I'd have to say the Steelers. The Steelers definitely have had a way better front office because I believe they've won the division 2002, 4, well, 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 10, 14, 16, 17. They've won the division the most
Mhm.
out of everybody. Cincinnati, I think they've won it 3 times. Baltimore 6. But out of the yeah, I'd have to say Pittsburgh. Definitely Pittsburgh. The Ravens have had some very big names like you can't, well, if it's last 20 years, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs. Those are huge names. Ray Lewis and Jonathan Ogden was in the 90s. But Pittsburgh, you have Ben. Heinz Ward was in 80.
All the receivers that came in that time
All of the
period.
receivers that came because you had a Pro Bowler damn near every year. The running backs in Le'Veon Bell. Hell, even Willie Parker was a running back at one point. Yeah, definitely Pittsburgh. It's definitely Pittsburgh. Baltimore, they had great years where they were contenders, but sometimes, most of the time, they were just pretenders. Where you're like, okay, they've got a hell of a team, but then you kind of can see the cracks. You're winning these games, but are you really playing somebody?
Mm-hmm. And Bronx B Squad, I'm gonna get to your question right now. He's typed this several times. Off-topic question: what do you think about Lil Skies? Is he a good rapper? I have never heard of him. What about you?
Little Skies. I've never
Bro,
heard of that.
there's a little everything. Wait until I see a dude named Lil Headphones out there. Then I'm gonna listen to him because he got headphones in the name. But Bronx B Squad, man, hey man, your music takes us your taste. If you find them good, you do you, man. Who else here? We got a couple more people talking about that Green Bay game, saying that Cruz should have taken most of the blame because he was technically the veteran leader. And I'm still in this day. I love Victor Cruz, but I still blame him a lot for that. He should have definitely said or done something back then.
And in 2016, just to expand on that, it made no sense about the conflict in the locker room. How the hell is Odell Beckham number 4 in the league in targets, and he's begging for more targets? Sterling Sharp is a rookie at the time.
Shepard.
And you mean it? Sterling Shepard. I said Sharp.
We did have a receiver called Hunter Sharp. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I was definitely remembering the last name, but Sterling Shepard, there's no way you're a rookie and you're going into demand more targets. I'm not getting seen. I'm not getting the ball. You should just wait your turn. Although you're very talented, you should not be able to poke your chest out at the quarterback talking about, hey, throw me the ball. And then Victor Cruz, you've been here, done that. You've won a Super Bowl and we're a major factor to that. There's no reason why you shouldn't step in and say, whoa, wait a minute, guys. I understand people are frustrated. Why are we saying this in the media? We can handle this in the receivers room. We could talk to Eli. His locker is right there. Nobody should run to the media to put out stuff. It made no sense in 2016 how there was a bunch of receiver fighting, and Eli should have stepped up and said, whoa, no more talking.
That's true. I will say I have no idea what went down behind closed doors, but it definitely seemed, especially when it came to Odell, I'm pretty sure some of my fans might not have liked this, but I do think Eli could have done something a bit more. In the end, though, I am happy with the trade. Kind of a little off topic, but on the same topic, what do you think about the Odell trade? I think at this point we kind of blow the Browns out the water with it.
Yeah, you know what? Overall, I like it because I felt as if he had to get out of New York. If he stayed there, he was not going to continue to produce because New York being one of the biggest sports market, there's nothing but distractions here. Nothing but distractions here. And originally, when they sent it to Cleveland, I didn't like that because I knew Cleveland was brewing something. So they have an opportunity to make something great, but this year is going to be the make it or break it year. If they don't produce this year, that's going to blow that team up.
Who do you think they let go of first, Landry or him?
Oh, they'll probably let go of Landry because Landry, in my opinion, over the course of the last 3 years, regardless of the fact that Odell's been hurt, Landry's been solid. He hasn't been a touchdown machine, but he's been extremely solid, and he's a vocal leader. But knowing Cleveland's front office, they're going to want the more explosive player. So they'll end up letting Landry go, and then Odell will just sit there and suffer, because if Baker can't get it done over the course of the next 2 years and lead them to the playoffs, they're probably going to end up letting him go too.
Now it's funny because everybody thought Baker would fix, especially after he did have a great rookie year.
Yep.
But now it's like comes down to coaching, and it's like the dude literally cannot. What some people saw is like, he has that nice fire in him. Nah, he's trash when it comes to talking to the media, and you need to have some type of skill with that, no matter what market you play in. Otherwise, you're not gonna survive.
Yeah, he's a very emotional player. It's ridiculous how the bravado has it's when it's going great, he is amazing. But the problem is that percentage is so small. And he's the kind of guy who's going to go, no, I'm going to be the reason why we win this game. Like Nick Chubb's not right behind you.
And who had like 1,500 rushing yards this past season?
Yeah, he had a sensational season. I think it was like 13. Whatever the case was, he was like number 2 in the AFC behind behind Derrick Henry.
He was actually number 2 in the entire league in terms of pure rushing yards.
Yeah, so he was right there. He had a sensational season. My whole thing is we've got to get back to what football actually is. Not to say the quarterback shouldn't go out there and throw a ton of yards, but if you've got a running back who's a workhorse, give him the football. I understand, it's extremely popular, and a lot of people love seeing passing touchdowns left and right and people dancing in the end zone. That's great. But if you want to win football games, your quarterback doesn't have to throw the football 20 times, 25 times. If Baker is in the 15 to 19 passing attempt area, and he's not getting 300 yards per game, he's getting like 250. And he's at about a 65 to 80% completion percentage, although that's extremely rare. All he has to do is be extremely meticulous with the football. You don't got to go and take a shot deep to Odell and Jarvis every single game. You don't got to try to force a 17-yard reception when the 5 or 6-yard reception is open right there. That's why Tom Brady has been able to play this long.
Exactly.
There's no problem in being a check down poppy. Get the ball to the guy who's open. Don't go for the sexy pass
especially when you got a team as stacked as the Browns. You can afford to do that. You really can. You don't need to be, I guess, to use the example you brought up, you don't need to be what Ben was for the past couple of years when the Steelers their defense wasn't doing too well, and you kind of need to put up points to stay in games and whatnot. You don't need to be what Russell Wilson has been basically this entire decade. You know what I'm saying? One of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league. I saw a post today asking who the best quarterback in the NFC is. I was like, it's definitely Russell Wilson. You got a couple people saying that, but you got some just delirious Eagles fans saying Carson Wentz. I'm like, y'all serious?
Yeah, Carson Wentz, the best in the NFC? No. Potential? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Listen.
Best? No.
And before we get back to what we were talking about before, I don't even have him as the best in the NFC East. I give that to Dak wholly because Dak can stay healthy. Health is a big thing for me. It's a big thing for me. It's the same thing with Evan Ingram, our tight end. Anytime somebody brings up, he's a good player, but if he can stay healthy, that whole phrase, that just tells me you're not good then. You're not good. I'm sorry.
Because you should be on the field. Your best ability is your availability. You have to be able to be present on the field if you really want to help your team win. Oftentimes, a lot of people just look at a bunch of talent and say, man, what if? Well, Arian Foster could have been the greatest running back of all time, but he simply was not healthy.
Remember the 2010 Eagles Dream Team? I forgot who was on it, but they were stacked. That was a what-if team. Nobody on that team could either stay healthy or they couldn't produce well.
Yeah, it's just the name of the game. Durability plays a role. Whenever people talk about greatest receivers of all time and talk about their only shot at Jerry Rice was, oh, man, he played 20 years. If Moss played 20, but Moss didn't.
Exactly, he didn't.
Made sure he took care of his body to play that long, just like with Frank Gore.
And his
Regardless
mental.
Of the fact, regardless of the fact that Frank Gore has never been one of the sexiest running backs, I can't knock him for playing this long. It's a testament to a running back to play this long. That's why Emmitt Smith still has my respect, regardless of the fact that he's not in my top 3. I still have respect for him because he was able to play 15 years.
And now Peterson is getting up there too. And oh my God, and AP even without that was already one of the best running backs in history. AP is one of my favorite players of all time, man. I just wish he wasn't on the Deadskins. Jesus, man. Um, Earl says, thank you for the podcast. Well, you're welcome, bro. Thank you for tuning in. And show your thanks to Chiseled by going into the description, clicking on his links, following him on social medias, and subscribing because you know he's going to have good content out. Was there anything we didn't get to finish before I move on to the next question? We were talking like just the AFC North in general, the
Yeah,
Browns.
so I think we touched on everything.
I bet. So then in this case, how do you see the AFC North playing out next year as a Steelers fan?
Well, for one, I know the biggest threat is going to be Baltimore, but I expect Baltimore to take a step back because it's going to be extremely tough to replicate that 14-2 flair that they had before. And still, they didn't go out there and grab themselves a receiver. Although I'm hearing talks about Antonio Brown, but I don't
I've heard
expect that
talks
to end up
about
happening.
Brown to the Seahawks because he worked out with
Yeah, that
Wilson.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. But I'm not sure what's gonna happen. The Ravens, I don't see it happening because they um they have a no tolerance policy for domestic violence because of what happened with Ray Rice. So I'd highly doubt they'd even be able to sign AB without a huge pushback from their investors, shareholders, and things of that nature. So I don't see that happening. But I expect it to be a battle between the Ravens and the Steelers. Baltimore, well, no, Cleveland, I expect them to be number 3. The Bengals, they are going to improve, but most likely to about a 5-11 sort of area. I don't know what's going to happen with Joe Burrow and stuff,
Hmm.
but I think Pittsburgh honestly can win this division. It's going to be up to the final game between Pittsburgh and Baltimore, but I think they're going to play each other
Oh, and did you
extremely early.
touch on the Browns? What's happening with they got their new head coach, new
Yeah, they
offensive
got a new head
coordinator.
coach.
I mean,
Um,
what's happening there? Is their O-line good enough now to actually block? Or are they gonna just beat the Browns again? Like the Browns are like the Cowboys. Something's gonna happen.
yeah,
Except with the Browns, is their whole season goes down the drain. And by the
yeah.
way,
Last
shout
year I
out to
thought they were
AV
okay.
Sports. He says he's heading out. Thank you for tuning in, bro.
Yeah, I felt that way about the Browns last year when everybody was talking about possible Super Bowl and everything. I'm like, man, they're not even going to make the playoffs. And it was documented on the Whole My Nuggets podcast since before the season started. I said they will not win the playoffs, and you'll be lucky if they win 7 games. Those guys have ego, 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 and they don't have a cut leader
Hmm.
yet. So until they go out there and they really have themselves a leader who's going to lead on the offensive and the defensive side of the football, they're just going to be there struggling for the long period of time. I think they possibly can improve. However, that offensive line concerns me. If they can't go out there and block for Baker, he's going to be a turnover machine.
Exactly. And they got the guy from Minnesota who loves to run the ball. So at least Nick Chubb, I expect Chubb to have. I'm not saying he's going to get 1,400 yards again. I still don't know how he got that with the terrible offensive line last year. But I do think Chubb is going to do well. But if Chubb is doing well, then are they really going to pass it that much? Or is it going to be the opposite situation where the dude falls in love? He's like, oh my God, we have all these weapons. I'm going to start pack because they also got the tight end from Atlanta. They have 2 good tight ends on the
Yes.
squad now. So is it like, are they going to start passing too much and just go crazy and forget about Chubb?
Yeah, that's a good question because you got to figure out what their offensive scheme is going to be. I'm going to give the Browns, because I always do this for every team, where through 4 weeks, the first month of the season, through 4 and 5 weeks, that's how I truly begin to analyze how a team is going to play throughout the year. There are some exceptions to the rule who turn it on late in the year, but for the most part, after 5 weeks of football, you can get a sample size of an identity of a team. So we'll figure out if the Browns are going to be, hey, we're going to go out there and pass left and right and cost ourselves games, or if we're going to give the ball to our workhorse in Nick Chubb and run off his back and make plays.
Exactly. Jawad is saying AB is suspended by Goodell, and with the cap situation, unknown teams ain't taking the risk as to why. Listen, bro, forget the whole logistics of it. AB's not being signed because he's crazy. But that's just me. Dude, legit, he needs some professional help. Part of me is not joking right now because I am concerned for the man. He needs to get some professional help from somebody.
Me too. I agree, because he's in a situation where he's got to get his mental state right, because he's still in his prime. He led the league in touchdowns the last full season that he played. He was the second highest producing receiver on his team regarding receptions and yards, but his considered down season was still at the top of the league.
Hmm.
So he's a guy who can still play, but his mental state is ridiculous. How are you in a
What's
situation
even
to
more
make 29?
crazy is the short period of time that the
Yeah.
decline happened.
Uh-huh. It happens so fast, and you just see an ego that's completely out of whack. But I saw him with Deion Sanders, a guy who was extremely close with for years, and now Deion's actually being able to make that breakthrough and speak to him. AB seems to calm himself down now. We haven't heard too much noise in the media about AB like that now, outside of just possible working out at teams. If he can take a step back from all that egomaniac stuff, he'll help a football team out. But you just don't know what AB you're going to get, because this has been the fastest decline of a best player. He was just ranked number 2 in the NFL by his peers 3 years ago on the NFL top 100.
It's crazy how
now he's not even in the league.
It's crazy how it went from him having a problem with the way Juju was performing, which in and of itself is a stupid idea to have in your head as AB. That's just stupid. To now going to you're out of the league because you legitimately need to get your life together.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. The whole thing with the Juju thing was, how do you end up posting a screenshot from when he was in college, reaching out for guidance and thinking that, oh man, you a fan of me? Well, obviously I'm a fan of you. When you're a fan and you want to get to somebody's level, you're going to reach out. When Juju was injured for a good portion of last year and underperforming because he had a gang of backup quarterbacks throwing him the football, he was clowned by AB, as if you look at AB's numbers when Big Ben wasn't playing, they're not sexy either. So I don't understand what was going through his mind last year. I don't know what the deal was. But that 8-month span from when he forced his way out of Pittsburgh up until his final game with the New England Patriots, I don't know what happened. That guy, he caught himself in some kind of genjutsu. I don't know.
That's worse than a genjutsu, bro.
Oh yeah. Maybe it's the Insanagi loop of what was going on, where Kabuto got caught with that from Itachi.
He got the mix of the Insanagi loop, the genjutsu, and he got the almighty push put upon his brain and his mental. I don't know what's going on. Bronx B Squad, I did see your last comment. I'll take it into note. And in terms of AB, that's just completely off topic. A Madden curse right there, my guy. That is the worst case of the Madden curse that I've seen in my life, and probably the only thing that even made me consider if it's real.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was crazy because it happened just like that.
Yeah. And since where would you rank Baker right now? I think we both agree this is a make or break year from him. You don't have to. You know what? Yeah, give me this. Where would you rank him amongst all the starting quarterbacks? So that would be out of 32. And then out of his draft class, because right now I think Lamar takes the case as number 1. But after Lamar, is there really any other good ones? Like 5 quarterbacks were taken, but only one of them seems to be good, and that one was the MVP.
So we got in that draft class, if I'm not mistaken, Lamar, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield,
and the 2
Josh Rosen.
Yeah, the 2 Joshes, yeah.
Josh
Allen.
Josh Rosen, Josh Allen. And there's one more quarterback. Was it not 6?
No, it was 5 in the first round.
It was 5 in the first round. Okay, so I think there was a quarterback who was taken later. No, it was Mason Rudolph. I'm wild. But so of those 5, I would put Baker. Boy, I'd probably have Baker. Oh, actually, no. I might
because Josh Allen is doing good with the Bills.
Josh Allen is number 2. He's doing his thing with the Bills. I have Baker behind Sam Darnold because I believe Sam Darnold is a better quarterback. Baker has better weapons, but Sam Darnold just has to fix his mechanics. If he can fix his mechanics, he can be something extremely lethal. Baker has, weapons around him, and last year underperforming the way that he did just doesn't make sense to me. So I'll put him 4th. But as for overall,
out of 32,
he's definitely not top 10. He's definitely not top 10.
I wouldn't put him top 15 either.
Yeah, I wouldn't have him top 15 either. He's probably at like a 17, 18. Yeah, he's probably between 16 and 20. Yeah, he's between 16 and 20. I don't think he's in the bottom 10, but he's between 16 and 20. If we go down the list, you have a Tom Brady.
You could just do your top 10 in no particular order.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Tom Brady, Big
Deshaun,
Ben, Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, Dak Prescott,
Russell
Wilson. God, I should have went division by division. This would have been so much easier.
But one thing I did notice real quick, my bad for interrupting you, this is probably the weakest top 10 of quarterbacks in a long time when you think about, because you got guys like like you just listed there, like Dak Prescott is very much arguably a top 10 quarterback, but
Yeah.
it's like in any other year of football, he would not be a top 10 quarterback. If
Nope.
that makes any sense, what I'm trying to get across here.
Yeah, you're completely right because the top five is Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and probably, although Tom Brady doesn't perform, at least last year wasn't a very high performance year, because of the respect factor, you can't not have him there.
Hmm.
So you kind of have to have him there. But if you don't have him, then you'd have to put like a Matt Ryan in there as well. I don't put Lamar Jackson in there yet because we're looking at one season. I need at least 3 seasons of solid production to throw up in there. Patrick Mahomes has just had ridiculous numbers, and then throwing for 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, and an MVP, then leading your team to a Super Bowl. It's disrespectful not to have him there,
Hmm.
regardless of the fact he hasn't played 3 years as a starter yet. But then those five, then you have your Lamar Jacksons, your Big Bens, your Matt Ryans of the world, Deshaun Watson.
Matt
And I
Stafford.
think, Matt
Yeah.
Stafford as well. I was just about to say Stafford as well. Then you have the Carson Wentz's, the Dak Prescotts. There's somebody else, the Jared Goffs. Oh God,
I don't know
Jared
if
Goff, I
Jared,
feel
yo,
kinda
does
weird
Jared
about
Goff
saying
make,
that one.
if he
Yeah,
makes the
let's not
top
say. Yeah, I
15, he
wouldn't have
probably
him at
number
13.
15?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Jared Goff would probably be 15. I would choke if I say Mitch Trubisky.
Oh, and
Um,
that, by the way, that's the next question. Who do you think
yeah.
will start for the Bears? We'll get into that after this.
Oh yeah, definitely Nick Foles. I think he's gonna end up taking them. No, matter of fact, I think Mitch Trubisky will start a little bit, and then Nick Foles will take over. Kirk Cousins. He's top 15. Kirk Cousins for sure. I'd probably have him at 13. Who is this else in the NFC North? Who haven't I said? No, everybody's been covered. There's no
Yeah.
way Bears quarterback would get in there. NFC South. Jameis is gone now.
Teddy
Um,
Bridgewater is technically a
yeah,
starting quarterback now.
yeah, yeah, Teddy Bridgewater.
But where would
I
you
can't
put?
put him
Where
in the
would you?
15.
Yeah,
It's
where
too
would
early.
you put him? Yeah.
Yeah, it's way too early. I can't really throw him in there. We covered Ryan. We covered Breeze. If we go to the NFC West, Russell Wilson's already in there. Garoppolo, nah, yeah, if
No,
Garoppolo
I
was
think
in the
Garoppolo's
top
like a
15,
fringe top 15.
yeah, he's like he's almost the same thing
Yeah.
as Jared Goff. If he's there, he's at the bottom.
And
Who
there's
else is there?
Kyler Murray, who would be, I guess, I would have to put Kyler Murray the same place I would put Jones and Haskins because they were just rookies, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the bottom 10.
Well, I'd put of those three, I'd put Murray at the top of those three. I think Murray has a higher upside than Daniel Jones, but
Jones had a better rookie
Arizona,
year, in my opinion.
yes, Jones did. Kyler, I don't think he should have won the offense. I believe he won offensive player of the
Offensive.
year
I
for the
wanted Jones
rookie.
to win Offensive Player of the Year so bad.
So honestly, I don't even think it should have been Josh Jacobs in my opinion. I don't know how the hell, ended up going to Kyler Murray, but I think if Arizona historically have always had a bad offensive line.
Hmm.
If they can get him an offensive line, he can be very dynamic. But because of his size, if that offensive line does not block and they turn into what we're seeing in Houston, Kyler Murray won't play 5 years in the league. He's going to, or maybe if he does play longer, he's going to turn into a Doug Flutie. We've got to make sure that he's protected because he has an opportunity to be a very explosive player.
Hmm.
But I would have him not really in the 15 yet. But we covered Seattle, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and there's another team in the NFC. What's the other team in the NFC West? Arizona. Yeah, and then the East, Carson Wentz is in there, Dak is in there. Can't put Daniel Jones yet. NFC North, we did
Oh,
that.
he making you
AFC,
think about it, though. I saw
he
that
made me
facial
think about it.
expression.
He made me think about it because we're talking about like 13. Well, no, not
No,
13.
we're
looking at
outside. We're
14,
outside the
15.
top 15 at this point.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out who would I put at 14, 15. Boy, in the AFC, well, Dalton's not there. I can't. Yeah, I wouldn't even put Dalton there. At his peak, absolutely, but the Browns, Baker's not there. Lamar and Ben are already ranked.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying, right? It's
AFC
like
South,
such a it's weird that it's so
maybe
weak.
Tannehill. Yeah, maybe Tannehill, and that's crazy to think you put
Hmm.
Tannehill at like a 14. Tannehill in the South, Deshaun's already ranked.
Oh, we didn't rank Jimmy G yet. Is Jimmy
Yeah,
G?
Jimmy G is if he's in the top 15, he's most likely at 15.
Hmm.
Boy, okay, Tennessee's covered, Houston's covered. Jacksonville don't have nobody.
Who's
Indianapolis.
who in the wait, hold up. Who's going in as a starting quarterback for Jacksonville right now? Is it
Oh,
Minshew?
Minshew. Yeah, Minshew's gonna be the starter.
Okay,
Minshew
that's
is
gonna
gonna
be
be the
some. That's gonna be something to see. I don't know
I
about
honestly
that.
feel as if they should have left Foles there instead of shopping him because you don't Gardner Minshew played because he knew Foles was going to return. A lot of times you have quarterbacks who play their ass off because they know it's a temporary sort of fix. So because it's temporary, let me try to play my ass off so I can finally, maybe make it something permanent.
Exactly.
Um and then outside of the AFC South, because I don't consider Philip Rivers top 15 anymore, unfortunately, he's not there. Probably. Oh God, Derek Carr. That feels unfortunate in the
Derek Carr
AFC
is battling for his job.
AFC West. Yeah, he's who else came over there? Something who's the
Marcus
backup that went?
Mariota is the backup right
Yes,
now.
Mariota went over there. So yeah, that's gonna be a battle. It's a make or break for Derek Carr. If he doesn't show up this year, he's not gonna be in Los Angeles Raider anymore.
Hmm.
Derek Carr.
You got Drew
Uh,
Lock over in the AFC, but he's
yeah,
another rookie.
Drew Lock's very young, so I can't put him there. I guess. And then the AFC East, Josh Allen, Sam Darnold. Who's in Miami right now? Who's the starting quarterback for Miami?
Tua.
Oh boy, Tua's gonna walk in and start. Golly. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man. God, I feel bad for him. And New England. Oh, Cam. Okay. Wow, I can't put. Yeah. If I had to
Because Cam
choose,
is, we don't know
okay,
what Cam is going to
I
be
don't know what
in
Cam is gonna
terms of
do.
health. So I mean, yeah, it's like it's weird to think about. We have one of the weakest, quarterback
Huh.
classes ever in the NFL right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. It's we you don't see a top. I always say it's probably a top 8 quarterback
Hmm.
where you've got 8 guys where you could look at the end of the year and you know where they're at. You know they're consistent. You know they're gonna put up numbers. You know they are the guy. Everybody else, it's man. We're having a good season right now. Is he the franchise quarterback? I'm not too sure. It's a lot of boomer esiasons that are out there.
Hmm.
You got guys who got great talent, but they don't really go out there and win games. So they end up losing their job. I think the quarterback pool got messed up after Cam Newton. After Cam Newton,
It has a lot to do with the
exited
injuries in the
2012.
recent years,
A lot
like
of the
Andrew
injuries
Luck
in
and
the recent
stuff.
yeah, Andrew, a lot of the injuries in the recent years, but then also the rookies like a Cam Newton, Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson, and Robert Griffin III. When those 4 guys came into the league, their rookie years changed everything because they walked in, they won games, they led their teams to the playoffs.
They
I
were the
believe, yeah.
guys.
Yeah, they were the guys. I don't know if Cam led the Panthers to the playoffs his rookie year, but he broke every rookie quarterback record. So teams started drafting quarterbacks like, yo, if I bring in a quarterback, you got to have immediate success. There's no project to watch you grow.
And
If
then,
you go 3-13, you're out
yeah,
of the door.
and then on the other side of the spectrum, you got dudes just playing way too old. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's great that Brady and Breeze are playing into the ages that they're playing in, but part of me is like, Jesus, man, let the young dudes rock. Let's see what we got here. The part of me that's like, I think part of the reason we are where we are right now is because dudes haven't gotten the chances to fully develop as they should have.
Yep. Yeah, they bring in a veteran, a really old veteran as like the number 2 quarterback, and once there's a slight of adversity on the young guy, they pull him. They
Hmm.
pull him. There's no reason why Matt Schaub should still have a job in the NFL. It's crazy.
Who is he
that he's
with
still
right now?
Yeah, he's with Atlanta. He's still. I had no clue when Matt Ryan got hurt, and then I saw they said a touchdown for Matt. I'm like, well, I thought Matt Ryan wasn't playing. I saw Matt Schaub. I'm like, he's in the league. I thought he was out the league after he left Houston. Matt Hasselbeck played until he was 40. His last years he was with Indianapolis. It
Hmm.
just doesn't make sense. These guys, you have extremely old quarterbacks. You got young quarterbacks who really never had an opportunity to really prove themselves.
Hmm. Exactly. And I mean, yeah, that kind of about covers it up on the quarterback side of things. I think you already answered the who would start for the Bears at QB. I agree with you. I think they might roll with Trubisky for a while. I honestly think after the first week, I really do think they're not going to give Trubisky that much of a leash. I think it's going to be like
Yep.
1 week, and then they see he doesn't do good, and then Foles come in, and then even then, I still think the Bears are going to have a very bad time because I don't expect Foles to success. He hasn't succeeded anywhere besides the Eagles.
I agree. I think he's a system guy who plays very well in the Eagles system, in the Eagles stadium, and knows that, culture very well. In Chicago, they, outside of Allen Robinson,
Hey, yo, tell
they
me why
don't
Chicago
have
has like
anybody
6 tight ends on the roster right now.
all their receivers and
They
tight
got like
ends.
mad tight ends for no reason.
I felt that way last year. I'm like, where the hell? What are they doing? This is confusing. And they didn't know what they were doing on the ground. I don't understand why the hell they decided to let, Jordan Howard walk
Hmm.
years ago. That made no sense. Well, last year. That made no sense why they allowed him to leave and go to Philly. And now I think he's in Miami where they're wasting him after a year in Philly. They even use him right. You have Tariq Cohen where he's become the primary back, although David Montgomery is there. Are they
David
even going
Montgomery
to give him
seems to
the
be somebody
football?
with good potential, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very concerned because even with the Bills, Devin Singletary looks like he can have sensational production, but then they brought in another running back this offseason. So a lot of organizations, they have talent here, but you keep wanting them to compete for their jobs and making them feel unsure. That puts a lack in their confidence.
Hmm.
Sometimes you gotta tell somebody, hey, you're my guy. Go out there and prove me right. You can't keep trying to do the Bill Walsh method and, oh, well, I got Joe Montana. Let me bring in a Steve Young to try to give the league MVP some pressure. It doesn't happen with everybody. Players are different.
And they're built different. And especially in recent years, I've said this before. Quarterbacks essentially are built different now. They don't necessarily need to sit anymore, which plays into why you see them thrown into the fire immediately. A lot of them come out, or I shouldn't say a lot, but more of them have come out in recent years just prepared to work in NFL offenses and know what to do rather than having to sit like they used to. You're seeing that a lot more and more now. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Jawad with a great question. He says, what do you think about the Rodgers and Love situation? Listen, this can really go either way. I would not be surprised if Rodgers pulls a 2018 and starts tanking just to get back at ownership and whatnot, like he did to get rid of McCarthy. But at the same time, I'm like, he might have matured out of that, and he might go out there and ball. But they didn't fix the team. The team got worse in this offseason. They didn't improve at all. They got
Absolutely.
worse. So I know what's happening over there.
My problem with what's going on in Green Bay is Aaron Rodgers is Dan Marino, but with one ring, where his front
No, you know
offense
who I would say he
does
is?
not help him.
At least stats wise, he's Matt Ryan, but with one ring. Matt Ryan actually has better numbers than Rodgers.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, at least over the course of these because Matt Ryan has been lighting it up. A lot of people don't really understand how good he is. Oh, well, he blew a 25-point lead. That's also on Kyle Shanahan. In my
Hmm.
opinion, it's more on Kyle Shanahan. My only problem with Matt Ryan is you're the quarterback. If you hear your coach calling all these, pass plays, you've got a 25-point lead. You've only ran the football 4 times since you took that 25-point lead. You ought to check out of it. My only thing was the discipline. That's the same problem I had with Russell Wilson. When Pete Carroll and the offensive coordinator say, all right, we're going to throw this pass at the 1-yard line when you got Marshawn Lynch, who's been absolutely unstoppable. I'm checking at the line and going into a different play.
Hmm.
That's my only problem with, guys like that. But with Aaron Rodgers bringing in Love behind him, I think Rodgers is going to go out there and do his job, but I don't foresee him finishing his career in Green Bay. I don't think he's going to end up being a lot like Favre and just going somewhere. Hopefully,
Where
Pittsburgh,
it's like where does he go though, right?
yeah, but people are going to break the bank for him, regardless. I think he can mess around and get a max
He's
contract
not what
at
he
this
was
age.
though. I'm not gonna say he's washed, but he's not what he was. You go back
Yeah,
there,
but
there's a big decrease from what he is now to what he was say in 2016.
yeah, he was tearing up the league. Undisputedly, in my opinion, was the best quarterback in the league. But unfortunately, you had those 2 kind of
Back-to-back
injury-riddled
years, yeah.
years that was bad, and then last year, where your only receiver was Devontae Adams, you had Kermeo or something like that.
Yeah, they just had dudes that names you can't
Alan
remember.
Lazard,
Yeah.
Geronimo Allison, Valdell Scantling. You don't have a solidified number 2. Jimmy Graham walked in there and did a whole lot of nothing. Your running backs, you got lucky that Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams had a good season. The defense was pretenders. The first 10 weeks, you thought Green Bay had a season, and then they packed it in the last 7. So if the front office does not help out Aaron Rodgers, just dip, skedaddle, get out of there, because they're not going to help you.
Exactly. Edward's saying how much longer are we go? I can go as long as Chiseled can go. So, I guess he'll just let me know whenever. We'll go as long as we can. And
Yeah, I got about probably 12 minutes.
oh damn, for real? 12
Yeah,
minutes?
yeah, I
All
probably
right,
got like
so
12.
in that case, we're gonna switch gears. This might surprise some people into the WWE because I wanted to cover some of that. And we got a WWE question, funnily enough, from I Play Sports Games. What do we think of WWE and the recent spike that they have in COVID-19 cases? I didn't know they had a spike in COVID-19 cases, but all sports in general, I think, could have done a way better job than what they're doing right now to handle it.
Well, for one, with WWE, they should have stopped their production immediately. I understand that you are the longest consecutive weekly production regarding any sort of thing on TV, but you should have stopped. There is no reason why you should continue weekly tapings, especially with the amount of people that you come in contact with.
They
There's
had
no
like,
way.
bro, like Rey Mysterio had it. Like they had, I
Yeah.
think Roman Reigns was at risk for it. They had mad people
Yep.
within the organization that was tested positive for it.
Yeah, it's crazy. And on top of that, you got guys like Roman Reigns who just beat cancer, and then now you're going to put him in a situation with this. His immune system's already weak. You've got older people around it. The executives of WWE, they're not young. They're
Hmm.
old. They're old past 50. And
Vince
those who aren't past 50,
McMahon.
they're late 40s.
Exactly.
So you don't want to have those guys who are high risk individuals in this position. And because you're dealing with these athletes who have to make sure they get to the gym, make sure that they're well fed, things of this nature, they're going to be interacting with other people. They should have shut things down completely, and there's no reason for it. I don't like the way they've gone about it. I don't like it at all, and it's going to continue to get worse.
Exactly, and it plays into AJ Marshall with a weird question. Do you think that the WWE should have a off? There is no off season when it comes to professional
Yeah,
wrestling.
yeah, there's none.
It's like that. In fact, that was a tagline of the WWE at one point. And shout out to Farhan tuning in, one of my bros, and actually helps do a lot of the graphical stuff on the channel. But in terms of the WWE, it's not helping them because their ratings have been going down for years now, right? Obviously, since the Attitude Era, everybody knows that. But let's talk about the last 10 years. You've seen a more dip in ratings just because the product is not it's not quality anymore. It's not as good as it used to be, and this did not help them at all because, in my opinion, the stories just got worse and the performances got worse.
Yeah, they went out there. They can't book any sort of, I get outside of the main event picture. They can't book great angles anymore. They're extremely top heavy. Their tag division, they had probably the best tag division in the world 2 years ago.
Hmm.
And they fumbled that because they did not focus too much. The women's division has a huge
The women's division
potential.
is the only thing they still got, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
exactly. But the problem is they focused so much on the four horsewomen, they ended up, disregarding a lot of other talents that could have came up. Asuka was outside.
Bro,
Luckily, she was able
Asuka
to
is
get it back now.
she is my favorite
Mhm.
diva wrestler. I don't know what the term is now, but she's my favorite woman wrestler, and I haven't watched in a couple months, so maybe she has gotten it back. But they fumbled her initially. They completely
Yeah, they
just
did.
did
They ruined
terrible
it.
with her.
After she lost to Charlotte, she completely fell to the bottom where you're having Oscar matches and they're not even a big deal. I don't understand how, you have this woman in dark matches and things of that nature when she had a 500-day undefeated streak as champion
Hmm.
in NXT. I don't understand that. Girls like Naomi, even Liv Morgan,
And
they could
Naomi
have turned her into
reinvented her
a star.
career, and basically, it's
Exactly.
like, what are you doing, bro?
It's so confusing. And then WWE, I don't know what they're doing with how they plan to book stuff. Their cruiserweight division, they could have made that something serious. You don't need to have a cruiserweight show. If you give a separate
That always
cruiserweight
made no
show,
sense to me, bro.
it's so dumb. When they had the small cruiserweight matches that were taking place, they should have never did the purple rope. You don't need to do all of that. Don't make them seem like they're separate. You build that cruiserweight division inside, but not everything has to be in the ring. What made the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era so good was
And by the
in
way,
the
Ruthless Aggression Area is super underrated. I don't think people give it
absolutely,
enough credit.
absolutely. They are the reason for the product of WWE now, where you saw actual good matches with good characters. Attitude Era was a gang of great characters, but the in-ring product wasn't that great.
Hmm.
But the characters were so over, you didn't mind what happened in the ring. Ruthless Aggression had great characters, and the matches backed it up to where you're like, whoa, this is really a wrestling. It's not just entertainment. And then now you got a ton of people with great wrestling, great in-ring work, but their characters absolutely suck. Apollo Crews is just a happy Bobby Lashley. If he
Yo,
actually
that's
had some
that's literally one of my
personality,
friends told me the exact same thing. He's just a happy Bobby Lashley.
yeah, he needs some personality behind him.
And
You had a ton of
you know
guys
why
who
part of the reason
wrestled.
of that is? My theory is that like they take it too seriously, that everybody knows about kayfabe and everybody knows about
Yep.
the inner workings. They take that way too seriously and try to put the persona of like real life dudes as their characters. Like, nah, you can still have good characters with pretending as if kayfabe is a thing. Like it's still doable. Look at New Japan. Look at AEW. Before quarantine hit, bro, AEW was tearing up
Oh
NXT
yeah.
rated. I am a
Oh yeah.
big fan of AEW, but once again, quarantine affected everybody and the performance of everything. But before that happened, they're a good example of how you can still have really good characters in a day and age where people know everything is a part of kayfabe, where people know everything is entertainment, but they take it way too seriously.
Yeah, like FTR, they're my favorite tag team right now, and they've been my favorite tag team for the last, I believe, 4 or 5 years. Because not only do they work the old school style and make it feel real, they are 110% just professional wrestlers. I'm not here to make the world a better place. I'm not here to try to get behind this don't be a bully sort of stuff. I'm my gimmick, and that's what I'm giving you.
Hmm.
I under like you said, I understand with the kayfabe and all this other stuff. There's no problem with that. I'm not saying go out there and kiss every single baby, or don't go in people's faces and spit in their faces. But if you're a heel, be a heel through and through. Like MJF does a hell of a job.
Because he's on it
He
on
knows.
Twitter too. You know what?
Yeah,
It goes to
exactly.
like Undertaker, bro. They just had the fabulous documentary about him. In a day and age, he was in it until now. He was still his character through and through. That's a big part of it.
Yup.
Everybody's out here. They're being nice. It's like it still ruins it.
Yeah, like Stone Cold. The thing with Stone Cold was you was almost afraid to ask him for a picture because you thought he would have whipped your ass. And
Exactly.
I've had a lot of people who've met him years ago, who spoke about, man, yeah, he was one of the nicest people, but man, I was so intimidated. You never knew, because guys were their character. If you are larger than life character, when you're on social media, things of that nature, be that. Like with the Lana and Rusev stuff, before, when you thought they were having tension and all this other stuff, you're on social media posting, oh, I'm here with Bay, but on Monday you're on television making it seem as if you hate each other. You're kind of killing it as well. I understand. I'm not telling you not to have a life,
Hmm.
but if this is going to be your gimmick and you really want to, put butts in seats, you've got to do it the right way.
Exactly. And I Play Sports says, or first Edward Chan says, not gonna lie, Chiseled is hella smart. I'm telling you, you don't know what you're missing if you're not over there. And I Play Sports says it's because Vince can't book any. But that's the thing though. Vince, he still has influence, but he's not the one doing the booking. You talk about
Yeah.
Triple H, who has major influence when it comes to booking now. And although when Triple H gets down to it, he's probably the best over at WWE in terms of storylines and whatnot, making them. But then they hire like former wrestlers to be to do the booking and the storylines now. So I can't put it all on Vince, although he has major flaws when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah, Vince, my thing is he's not out of touch because he still knows how to make a star. My problem with him is he doesn't know how to take a star who is big in NXT and
Or
keep them with
elsewhere.
that same flair. Yeah, exactly. The
Look, bro,
only
bro,
person
bro, look
is
what he
AJ
did.
Styles.
Bro, look what he did to Shinsuke. I was just about to say.
Yeah, yeah, Shinsuke.
Shinsuke, they flopped him so badly.
They ruined
Shinsuke was
Shinsuke.
supposed to be he was supposed to be as good or better than Styles.
Yeah,
But they
yeah.
flopped so hard, bro.
It's ridiculous how they ended up ruining it and then trying to turn him heel to take away, oh, we're not singing with his theme song and things of that nature. They should have left him. When he turned heel at WrestleMania, they should have gave him the belt I believe it's Backlash that
Bro,
comes after it.
it's
They should
criminal
have
that
gave
they
him the belt. It's
never gave him the
crazy.
belt. Never.
They should have, even if he doesn't, because he was one of those guys who did not need to speak. His aura was just there. Bobby Roode, although it was the song that got over, he could have been the upper mid card star among stars. He's
Hmm.
literally Rick Rude now. He's Rick Rude now, and they ruined him. Dolph Ziggler, well,
Oh
no,
my God!
that's years
Listen,
before.
that's years
But
before, but
that's
that's
years
still a
before. I'm
good
not even going to say
example. But
anything
that's
about
still
that.
a good example.
Yeah,
Dolph
Samoa
Ziggler,
Joe, they kind of ruined him too.
exactly.
How the
Like,
hell do you get up there? You don't win any pay-per-view matches. It doesn't make sense.
and then with Bray Wyatt, the thing I love the
Oh boy.
Fiend. I love the Fiend. All right, I'll tell you this. I love the fact that they finally gave Wyatt a legit run with the title, and as the Fiend, it was interesting character. But when you talk about the amount of times they fumbled him beforehand, and now it looks like they're fumbling the Fiend, it's crazy.
It doesn't make sense because you have all of these stars and they can be booked the right way. We are lucky that Drew McIntyre was able to get the run that he
Yo,
did at the beginning of the year.
McIntyre was somebody else that I thought they were gonna mess up, but they actually did a good job with him.
Yeah, I was shocked that he was able to get to where he got to. With the with what's going on right now with golly, what is it? I'm forgetting the tag team, but they were doing a hell of a job when they were in NXT. Oh, perfect. Chad Gable. And American Alpha,
American Alpha.
unfortunately, what
Okay, yeah.
happened with Jason Jordan, him being hurt or whatever. But Chad Gable is a sensational in-ring star. His personality is very goofy, but he can be a Kurt Angle. He can literally be, because
You know
he
what's
is
funny?
just like
You
Kurt
know what's
Angle.
funny? The whole the dumb story they had where it was Jason Jordan being Kurt Angle's illegitimate
It
son.
should have been Chad Gable.
Everybody and their mother knew it should have been Chad Gable. He was more like Kurt Angle than Jason Jordan was, and
Yeah.
both personality-wise, in-ring style, like he was way more suitable for that. And they ruined Jason Jordan when I think it would have helped Chad Gable, because Jason Jordan's everybody started hating him after that.
Yup. And the craziest thing was Jason Jordan's in-ring work. That him and Chad Gable were just a reincarnated greatest tag team of Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. They were literally them, but even better at a higher level. And they ruined American Alpha. Then they ended up breaking them up. Jason Jordan ultimately got hurt. Chad Gable is this shorty G now, which doesn't make any sense. I don't know what's going on, but they have guys who are stars and were stars within their company. And now it's at a situation where you don't want people to leave NXT.
Hmm.
Undisputed Era, I don't want to see them leave NXT. Stay there. Do not leave. Velveteen Dream, please don't come to the main
Bro,
roster.
I know for a
Because if they
fact
ruin them, it's over.
I know for a fact if Velveteen Dream got called up, we would have never heard from him again. We would have never heard from this dude again. He got called up, you would have seen him for a couple weeks, and then he's gone. You don't know what happened. There's an IPB out for him. There's
Hmm.
Velveteen Dream is one of those dudes in NXT that I legitimately think, and I'm gonna get to Finn Balor, is a Finn Balor type dude. I was like, he's gonna be the next face of the company. And then now getting to Finn Balor, where they fumbled with him. And the thing with Vince is he gives up on dudes too much when it comes injury-wise. It's what happened with Ziggler, and he should have given Finn another run with the Universal belt, but he gave up on. And then there's the whole thing about how he doesn't like his size and all that. The Finn Balor is another dude where it's just like you could have had your next face right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Finn Balor was, when he got hurt, and then they said, I was at that SummerSlam too, but when he got hurt, and they said, man, when he comes back, they gave him a short run, but he didn't even get an opportunity to get a rematch or things of that nature. It came to the point where you're like, damn, you gave up on somebody like that? That's ridiculous. When Bobby Lashley returned to the WWE,
He was
he
thrown
should have
into
had
it.
that
Yep.
Brock match immediately. That didn't happen. When Samoa Joe moved up, he should have had that Brock match immediately. They waited too long, and they ended up making him fight against Brock in a fatal four-way. So they're just ruining a ton of different stuff, and it's a layup. It's not even like you have to be a couch booker. You can just see it, and it
Mhm.
doesn't make sense. TV, when you're at Raw, you should prioritize building storylines. Although you could have great matches and somebody has to lose, some of the matches you could set it up to where if somebody loses, it's not a huge blemish on their career. If somebody's going to lose, make the loss meaningful, and you can still push both stars. That's what they did in the Attitude Era. When somebody lost a match, you almost didn't care.
It's what they did in the Ruthless Aggression era also.
Yeah.
Shout out to Edward. He said he's not even a WWE fan, but this is interesting. AJ Marshall is like, what do we all think about the Extreme Rules pay-per-view July 19th? Bro, I have not watched WWE since quarantine hit, and I still know why they're holding pay-per-views. I know that like they held Money in the Bank at WWE headquarters or something. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
what are
still
y'all
haven't even
doing, bro?
watched that.
Like, why are you still holding this?
Yeah, they had I think the ladder match wasn't even a ladder match. It was who gets to the roof first or something like that. Like, I haven't even been able to consistently watch WWE like that because given everything that's happened, like, man, I don't even know if I want to watch the product. I'm going to have to jump back into it now that we're going into, well, now it's July. I'm going to jump back into it just so I can be more, accustomed to what's going on. So this upcoming pay-per-view, I have no real, opinion because I'm not too sure what's going on in the company.
Would you consider watching AEW, or have you already checked it out?
I've only seen because I know the big names on the marquee. So whether that's in the tag division with the Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, a
Bro,
little
and
bit of the Young Bucks here and there.
I'll tell you what, though,
FTR.
their tag division is filled with dudes that could be the world champion for that, too. You talk about Kenny Omega and
Yeah.
Hangman Page, man.
Hmm. Yeah, they have big names that are in places who should be single stars, but they're doing it the right way. Instead of having everybody immediately vie for the top belt, you put them in different spots to really make those small divisions get big. Their women's division, I'm not really too into it.
Yeah, their women's...
Their mid card
yeah.
and lower card, they're
think-
very good on the main card.
Yeah.
And Cody's doing his thing, so
I
shout out to him.
think they have a really good main card and tag division, and yeah, that right there. Who would have thought that Cody had this in him, bro? I You saw
Oh, I do.
glimpses of it with like the dashing roads back in 2011,
Mhm.
but I never thought it would be this. And you were saying they're doing it the right way. The reason I started trusting them is because when they first, the first ever AEW champion, they gave it to Jericho instead of Kenny Omega because they knew the American audiences were more used to Jericho. Regular casual fans probably don't know a thing about Kenny Omega, even though he was over in Japan killing it. He was one. I think he was actually voted best wrestler of the decade for the 2010s, or the
Really?
second best. It was between him and Kazuchika Okada, also from Japan. It was
Yep.
between them two, and I was like, yeah, not a lot of people over here in the States know about him. So they were like, they're going to ease him in through the tag division before he gets back up there. And right
Mhm.
now, John Moxley is the champion. Dean Ambrose for any
Yeah.
WWE fans in the chat.
Yeah, they're doing it the right way with their top stars, and they're slowly ingratiating people into them, and they're really giving great stories for those guys. I think Moxley and Cage are having a program right now regarding them battling over the title and things of that nature. So they're doing a hell of a job. I got to give their kudos, give kudos where it's done. And I'm happy that AEW is here because for the longest WWE has a monopoly on on being, the premier, wrestling product. Now with AEW, and it gives you an opportunity to really have a professional company that can combat
Mm-hmm.
WWE. I'm just waiting on probably about a year in. I'd say maybe by next fall, they're going to switch their day to go either immediately head to head with Friday Night SmackDown or head to head with Monday Night Raw because they're building momentum. It's all about momentum. A lot of people looked at it like, man, they're just going up against NXT. Oh, no, they're
You got to
playing chess,
start,
not
bro.
checkers.
Exactly.
You got to start. So if I'm beating your third tier, of every single week and people just don't pay no mind, all right, cool, I remember how to win this game. Now I'm gonna flex to a different time and let's see what's going on.
That's the thing, though, right? Like, part of me almost wants them to stay at the NXT level, just like
Yeah.
how NXT for WWE is probably the best thing on right now. It's like, I and it comes with it being it's a brand new company. I don't know how they are gonna perform at that bigger level when they try to match. You talk about production level of the shows like Raw and SmackDown. I don't know how that's gonna go.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
And Damian Estrada saying Chad Gable should have been the next Rey Mysterio with his height. Well, I don't know about that. I
Oh
think
yeah,
Chad
yeah, I don't
has
know.
Chad has a little bit more versatility than Rey does. Although Rey is the best luchador in history, that's just me
Hmm.
though. Sports influencer, what's up, man? And Damien once again saying AEW is WCW and ECW rolled into one. Well, I'm pretty sure you're talking about the newer ECW. Original ECW, there's none been like it
Yeah,
ever
none
since.
like it, none like it.
Exactly. And oh yeah, this popped into my mind. Another thing with Asuka, do you think she should have taken the belt off of Becky when they fought? I thought for sure they were gonna end Becky's reign with it. If there's any better, I'm like at this point you're building up the reign so high. I'm comparing that at this point to what Cena was with one of his first title reigns, where it literally
Yeah.
took an injury to get the belt off of him. If
Hmm.
not, get it off with Asuka, who not only the fans have been behind for years, but she has legitimate backing to it. Who in the world are you gonna have her drop the belt to?
Yeah, I definitely believe she should have ended up beating her in a match rather than just having it gifted to who wins the Money in the Bank. But now that Asuka is the champion, she's most like I do want her to drop it to Sasha Banks. I believe they're gonna fight each other soon. Sasha Banks is the girl for me. She's always been number one
What's
since she's debuted.
what's happening with the Sasha and Bailey
Yeah, apparently,
storyline?
yeah. So, they're tag team champions right now. Bailey's still SmackDown Women's Champion. I believe she just went over a year. So, Sasha had, there was a teaser that they might end up fighting against each other, but evidently she was actually talking about the Raw Championship. So, if she beats Asuka and gets the title, which I believe the way they're booking Sasha, she should. Now they're going to be the two who run the women's division. A lot of people feel as if, man, y'all, they're pushing them down our throats. But Bailey turning heel has put some of the
Bailey,
best
she literally
product on
revitalized her
television.
career.
Yeah,
Exactly.
she revitalized it completely because she was getting extremely bland. And Sasha as the blueprint, now that she's heel and she's the cocky heel, it's the best, version for her. Because when she's a face, I don't like her.
Hmm.
When she's a heel, take my money. I
It's
will
like
sit front row.
Randy Orton for me. I could only like him as a heel. Or
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
I was about to say Edge, but not Edge actually had a nice face run towards the end of his
Yeah.
career. And yeah, Sasha, even though Asuka's my favorite, Sasha's a close second, but it has more so to do with Miss Banks, get in my DMs, bro. I'm gonna treat you well, type of thing, rather than her in-ring ability. But Sasha,
Yeah,
I hear you there, man.
she's
Um,
got that ring on her finger, so you got to do a little bit of bad luck.
Listen, bro. There's a goalie in soccer, but you could still make the goal. Come on
Ah,
now.
fair enough, fair enough. Take your shot, even if the gym's closed.
Even if the gym's closed. And is there anybody on the roster right now, men's or women's, that you think they're fumbling with? You think they should push? Because like we said, we think they're going the right way with what they're doing with now Asuka, Sasha, Bailey, and the crew. What about on the men's side?
On the men's side, anybody they can do better with, I would probably say, well, Ziggler's going to be in a title match this upcoming
Oh,
pay-per-view,
really?
so
Like I
I
said,
can't.
I've been out for a couple weeks now.
Yeah,
What's happening with
yeah,
Ziggler?
I was able to see it through like social media, but Kevin Owens.
Yo,
Um,
I'm gonna keep it real. I might have given up on Owens and Sami Zayn at this point.
yeah, they're not even the Sami Zayn. I don't know what he was doing. They stripped him of the title. Um, but boy, wow. Yeah, I don't know for the men's side. Who does? It's probably escaping me.
And by the way, Bronx Beat Squad, I can't play that on stream because it's copyrighted 100%, bro. That little Sky song that you want me to play.
Oh yeah, maybe he's a little Scott.
Yo, are you secretly Lil Sky, bro? Give me a free album, then I'll listen. I'm kidding. But yeah, on the
Maybe.
men's side, I don't know. It's like I would not be mad if you said Owens or Zayn, but like I said, I've given up on them. I don't know what they're doing with them. Um, who's even over there, man? Like Roman Reigns is always on and off with me.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins, I think, is doing pretty well for himself. Maybe they should push Kofi again. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they're still the tag champions in New Day because Xavier is not back yet. He's still recovering from that Achilles. So, but whatever the case may be, I'm hoping they're able to get it. They're able to get it together because they've got way too talented of a roster, and now with competition of AEW, they've definitely got to step it up.
Exactly. And last thoughts before we end it off. What did you think about the Did you get to see the Undertaker documentary?
Oh, no, I haven't watched it. I was waiting until all of the episodes were done so I can just binge it because at first when I was getting ready to watch episode 1, I saw episode 1. So when I
Hmm.
saw episode, I said, okay, wait a minute. I'm just going to wait, make sure that it's completely done. And then when they officially said he's retired, I said, all right, now I'll go and I'll tune in because everything's at a close. I could just watch everything in succession and then I'll give my review afterwards.
Then in that case, I'm gonna switch to a different one then. But I'll tell you what, man. One of the best documentaries I've seen in a while, and WWE has tried making similar things in the past. You talk about like Bret Hart wrestling with shadows. I think they had one for Cena at one point, even though Cena was real young in his career when they did it. But that was nicely done, and apparently they've been filming it since 2017, which is crazy to think about. That's a long filming period.
Oh,
But
they must have been planning that.
they've been planning it for a while because it was supposed to be what it was, which is the retirement documentary back at WrestleMania 33 when he retired for the first time. It was supposed to be
Yeah.
that. So I guess my new final question would be, what is your favorite period from wrestling or era? Was it Attitude Era, Ruthless
Oh, yeah.
Aggression? Personally, for
Attitude
me,
Era.
it's Ruthless. Oh, really? Okay,
Yep.
I can see that. I gotta go Ruthless Aggression. It's what I grew up with, and like I think it's very underrated. You got guys like Eddie Guerrero tearing it up. That's really when he had his nice run. In my opinion, that was Triple H's best run in his career, and Triple H is he's my favorite wrestler of all time. Undertaker's a close second. Yeah, I know, right? It's very you don't hear much
Triple
people
H
saying
guys.
you don't hear much people saying Triple H is their favorite wrestler of all time. A lot of people definitely think he was given a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I can see some of that, but I still like the character and the in-ring performance. Undertaker, I think that was his best stretch of WrestleMania matches. Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle were on top of their game. Like Ruthless Aggression for me was it. Your thoughts on I guess Attitude, or if you want to talk about Ruthless Aggression?
Ruthless Aggression, it was very cool. I really loved the in-ring product that they had there and the characters. That's when you had your Benoits, when you had your Eddies, as you said. The tag division was popping. Edge finally got his singles push going. Chris Jericho, although he was hot late 90s, but then the entire 2000s he showed what he had to offer. Shawn Michaels' second run with match of the year from 2003 all the way until 2010. Well, 2004. I think 2003's match of the year ended up going to Brock and Kurt Angle. But Kurt Angle, his stuff as well. Ruthless Aggression, man, they had a whole lot of great stuff there. But for me, Attitude Era, just being as a kid, watching those guys and the characters, that's where I really got my skills as an orator. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
can cut a promo off the top of my head like that. Growing up watching Steve Austin, The Rock, Ric Flair in WCW, things of that nature, where I can just go off the top of my head. And guys didn't have scripts; they just went out there, gave somebody a live mic, road dog. You got to go out there and sell something. And those guys, they were able to talk. So maybe just for the promos and just characters alone, that's what gives me, for me, Attitude Era the edge. But Ruthless Aggression, the complete product of what professional wrestling is, I would give that to them.
Mm-hmm. And what was the last good period you'd say, like legitimately good period of WWE? For me, it's got to be like that SmackDown 2016 year. Like, bro, it's a meme. I don't know if you know the meme. Oh, bro, nothing's been the same since summer 2016. Like they're talking about in the world in general. For me, it's like that with WWE. Since 2016, I think was the last time they legitimately had good all around product.
Boy, all around product. Ah, boy.
And Bronx B Squad, you might have double checked it, bro. I'm not taking a chance with getting demonetized. Like Chiseled can speak on that. I'm not trying to get
Right.
Nancy over on my channel.
hmm Boy, she's probably already over here since I'm here. But man, golly, toughest. What is the best? I guess
Or
I'd have
the
to echo
last one, you know what I'm
2016.
saying? 2016.
Yeah, I probably have to echo of the last year, probably 2016. Yeah, probably 2016.
Okay, bet.
Yeah.
And apparently SummerSlam might not happen because what's going on in the state of Baltimore. It's not even open yet. Uh, best entrance music of all time. That's one that actually got me thinking. I don't know, man. You got like Shawn Michaels. Yo, remember when? I don't know if you used to think this. I used to think the wrestlers sang their own music, bro.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell me Big Show didn't say, well, you didn't. You
You
can't
couldn't
tell
tell
me
me, bro. You
that
couldn't
wasn't
tell
Big
me
Show.
Triple H didn't sing his own theme
Yeah.
song.
Yeah, I was shocked when I heard Lemmy was in Motorhead and all. I'm like, dude, that's just Triple H. He's got a mask or something
Is
like that.
exactly.
But best entrance music, Batista, Shawn Michaels, Edge.
You know what's
Um.
an underrated one? Remember when Kane had Chemical Burn or something
Oh
like
yes,
that?
yes, 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 yes. Slow Chemicals.
Slow
Yeah,
Chemical, yeah,
that
yeah.
was that was sensational. Randy Orton's first theme, the Burn in My Light, I believe the name was.
You know he
Um,
hated that one personally. He was
yeah,
like he
yeah, he
hated
actually
it.
did.
Yeah.
And ironically, CM Punk's first theme song, that was actually supposed to be Randy Orton's. He came out to it one time. You can
Really?
find a clip on YouTube. Yeah, he came out to what was the name? What's the name of this stuff? Is it Kill
Oh,
Switch Engage? Something like that.
I don't know.
But whatever. Yeah, it
But
was
but CM Punk's
yeah.
second theme song, I love his second theme
Oh yeah,
song.
Cult of Personality,
Yeah.
sensational song. But that, yeah, I probably would have to give it to Batista or Shawn Michaels for the best theme song, because those I could listen to it any day when I'm in the gym.
Bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd probably go like Michaels is definitely up there. Batista, like you talking about songs you could just bop to for sure. In terms of most iconic, it would have to be Steve Austin or The Rock, I think. And if you're just talking like iconic, what they mean to the industry, but songs I can bop to, yeah, I'd have to agree with what you. Yo, Kurt Angle, low key, bro. Kurt Angle's theme song, "You Suck," bro. The
Oh
chance,
yeah.
just for the
Mhm.
chance, low key.
Yeah, man. It was they back then. They just knew how to get stuff right.
Facts.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's been a great podcast. We went a lot longer than we
Oh
were
yeah. Wow.
supposed
I
to.
know. I now
Yeah,
see the 2 hours. Good lord.
facts,
Time
man.
flew.
Thank you all for tuning in to the podcast. I appreciate all of you that commented, that donated, that were here, that was just chilling. Even dudes like Edward, he's not even a WWE fan. For the last half of the podcast, we talked all that. Found it interesting. Thank you for Chiseled for to bringing coming on, my guy. I know it took a while because he's a busy dude, guys. That's how you know he's legit on YouTube, when he's a busy dude and he has a legitimate schedule. Me, I'm just like, all right, let me see. I'm free at this time. I'm gonna do it right now.
Yeah, I remember those times, man. Now, because so many stuff was happening, quarantine, I really use it to my advantage, just getting stuff done. I've been conversations left and right, doing all these designs to get my merch finally released. It's been 3 years long overdue getting it done for the people, getting that done. The Patreon, I just got
Hmm.
that all loaded this last weekend and things of that nature. I see your camera went out of focus, so
Yeah,
I wasn't
let
gonna
me
bring it
see.
up, but then you put your hand up there, so there it is.
Is it
But
back on
yeah,
now?
a
Yep.
whole lot of different, work with things, my setup and everything behind me, figuring out different sort of editing stuff. So every single day I've made sure that I stay busy and schedule sort of hours and things of that nature. Like right after this, I actually have a meeting that I'm doing. I was texting the people pushing it back because I was enjoying I was enjoying the conversation. But then
Yeah,
I gotta
yeah.
go on with them in a little bit.
For sure, man. I would, if you got the time in the future, I would love to have you back on because it was nice, man. It was nice talking not only the football, but I haven't had somebody to talk just wrestling type of stuff with on the channel, and it was nice having you on, man. Great experience, and obviously I'm a big personal fan of the content that you put out as well. Definitely my favorite stuff is between the MTA stuff and the just the football commentary. I love all your jokes, man. So props to you. I hope you continue it. And to close it out, where can the people find you, and give us something that you're doing right now that we could look forward to in the future?
Okay, awesome. Well, first and foremost, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Pornhub. I'm all everywhere. I think I'm on TikTok now too. Yeah, I'm on TikTok now too.
Cameo, right?
Yeah, on Cameo as well. If you want a video or personalized shout out, you can reach out to me on Cameo. Over there, I believe all the links are in my description on YouTube, or if you go to my Instagram, you just click on the link tree, and I have all of the different things that are there as well. I just,
And the best person
yeah.
on Hot Mic also, I think.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yeah, I believe I'm number 2 because these guys in
Who
Liverpool.
took you over?
Yeah, people in Liverpool, because I was beating the All the Smoke podcast. So Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, they were slowly gaining on me, but I was able to keep them at bay. But there's a podcast or a news. They're a huge corporation in Liverpool, and they cover straight soccer. That's all they do. And soccer being the biggest, global sport, they took over because soccer never stops. So they got me beat. But now that we're getting back to sports, all July through the remaining 6 months of the year, I'm going to be heavy on Hot Mic, and also incentivizing people to go over there as well, just so I can go and get that number 1 spot. Really show, the executives over there how good I am at
Yo,
what
Hot
I
Mic
do.
was hooking us up too with some of his WWE streams, hooking us up with the free WWE stream too. I remember that at one point.
They weren't even, and the craziest thing about it is, that's how I know I'm a man of the people. They were giving the stream just to me so I can be in sync with everything. I was independently giving it to the people.
Oh, I
If you want to watch it as well, because we have different, we're not all in sync at the same time. So if I give out the link to the people, now we're watching. If you don't have the link, you now have it. They hit me up one time and say, hey man, it's kind of illegal to give it out like that. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. But I still, on the low, I would just share it.
Yeah.
Like I'd say like every 15 minutes, somebody would type, I need the link. I just send it just on the low and say, yo, all right, cool. I'll probably, what I'm going to do in the future is, if you're going to hop on the stream, hit me up on my Discord.
I was about to say you should get a Discord or put it in the Discord.
I just made a Discord for my my Patreon, so it's like an independent Discord. That's why with this past weekend I just set up tiers on the Patreon. I had the Patreon for 3 years, but I never had tiers. Now I'm at a point in the social media and stand-up career where I can offer perks. So now you can get access to a Discord bi-weekly live stream. You can get a video shout out. Also, you can give a request. I get requests for videos every single day. If you're a patron, you now jump to, you're first in line. So if you have one and I see it, all right, cool, I'll do that one. Now it's Super Bowl commentaries. I just did Super Bowl 47 today.
I forgot you were doing them backwards. I haven't seen the one since 51. Yeah. Where are they right now?
Blocked. 50 is up. 49 and 47 49 and 48 both got blocked. So now 48, 49, they're on Pornhub. But the problem is, because YouTube keeps blocking them, I said, you know what? I'll just give it to the my patrons. So that one's there. So what I'm gonna do is, as today, I put a small teaser on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, Twitter as well, just what some of the jokes were. And if you want to see the full, just subscribe to the Patreon. You could subscribe how many you decide to give. If you want some of the tiers, then you can go and join some of the tiers so you can get some of the exclusive content. Because if YouTube's gonna block it, I'm gonna incentivize it and get it up for those people who really, really want to see it. So if you want to find me, I'm on all social media platforms, also on my Patreon as well. And hopefully when Outside opens back up, I can get back out there on stage. I was supposed to have a tour for stand-up. I was going to be in Virginia on 4 different shows.
Bro, do you hear that? Oh my God, the fireworks should just start going off in my neighborhood again.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah, it was going off a little bit earlier out here.
Jesus Christ, man, nationwide. And so you told us where we could find you. What's something we could look forward to? Or I guess you kind of described that with the Super Bowl commentaries. Anything else, or?
Well, for one, the because the NBA's back, you're definitely gonna have to look out for that bubble NBA commentary as well. And I believe I had a project I was gonna do this month. Oh wait, there we go. The merch. I have my merch line dropping on the 31st. So I'm gonna have well, I have 8 things right now, but I'm gonna have some stickers, pins, wristbands, shirts, hoodies, sleeveless hoodies, the Randy Orton edition. I'm gonna try to get some. I'm gonna have hats as well, and there's one more thing. It's escaping my mind. I'm gonna try to get some slippers, things of that nature. A ton of stuff. I have all these different
The
designs. Your
whole
favorite,
fit, bro.
yeah, yeah, your favorite slogans. They're gonna be on a shirt, and they're actually gonna have a design. It's not just like everybody else who sells a shirt. They just put words on a shirt. I'm gonna give you something that you can wear outside. That's gonna start a conversation.
Bet. Well, that's a lot of good things to look forward to from the Chiseled Adonis. And I guess, just kind of, a question from your boy here. What I got to do to get onto the Hold Your Nuggets podcast, man?
Well, in due time, I'm actually going to be taping with Marv Glover in 2 days, and most likely, in August, if not August, then September, we're going to start opening stuff open to guests. Because originally we were going to just do it early summer, and then now have people. If you're not able to come on physically,
Hmm.
you can come on, via phone call or things of that nature. But down the line, we're definitely going to start opening stuff up for guests to come on. We've been doing some live streams here and there. But now I think we're just gonna go back to just taping ahead of time and then posting it. But we'll have guests, most likely, during the NBA playoffs. We're gonna try to get it at least weekly. We're gonna have a taping.
Let's just say September for now, then. Let's take the later
Yeah.
thing on it because who knows what's going to happen. But once again, thank you for coming on, man. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.